Well, what do you know? Do, 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 do. There we go. There we go. Marry me. I'm Gory B Movie, and this is Gory Talk, where we're going to talk about some bloody, gory slashers today with my friend Sean Erschen right over here. And we got Fiore Grimaldi today in the chat. What's up? Hey, Sean. Yes. I like how Michael Myers is decked out for the holiday season behind you.
Yes, festive.
Very festive.
There you go.
So, tell everybody who may not be familiar with your channel what you do over there.
Well, I mean, it is mainly horror based. I do, horror film reviews and live streams and rankings and tag videos and stuff like that, all kinds of stuff. But I'm not strictly horror. I do sci-fi sometimes. I do talk about heavy metal music and
nice.
Yeah,
You just did a video on John Cena, so a little bit of wrestling too.
Nice. Yes, see, wrestling too.
I like me some wrestling. I love John Cena. And your areas of expertise, like you know a lot about Hammer horror, like the old school stuff, 80s slashers, which we're talking about today. What's on your shirt today?
Elm Street 3.
That's such a cool
Dream
shirt.
Warriors.
I was ready for 80s slashers. So I got Jason, Leatherface, and Freddy.
Like
they were all in the 80s. Yeah.
I remember that cartoon.
Those good times. All right, we got the Oracle in the chat. I guess there's not a the before that, but I'm just gonna throw a that in. It sounds more important.
Hello.
And Annie, let us know while we're talking about 80s slashers today. What are some of your favorites? And so, where do you want to start? Do you just want to start with just random, go crazy, or like with 1980, or I don't know. I can start anywhere.
Well, I was gonna ask you something actually.
Yeah.
What in your opinion is the first true slasher?
See, I think that's a bit of a complicated question because
it is pretty
I've
loaded.
talked about this a lot. I think there's a movie. It's called 13 Wishes. Also, The Dorm, the Drip Blood. Okay, so The Dorm, the Drip Blood is a really good one. We've got a final girl. We've got a killer. They're masked. It ticks all the boxes. The problem with a lot of these proto slashers is nobody saw them. So you can't create a movement or you can't create a theme if nobody saw it. So I think the first big one that everyone saw, the first two big ones that everyone saw that kind of led into it would be Texas Chainsaw Massacre, where it ticks a lot of those boxes, but we don't have just the one killer. The final girl, I don't know. Did she survive? She's pretty messed up at the end there. I don't know mentally if she's okay. And then I think Black Christmas is really good too. But even then, it doesn't tick every single box. So I think the first one most people would widely consider to be the first would be Halloween. But you look at something like Scream. Scream has all of these rules. They have to be Virginia. They have to do all that. You know what? Halloween doesn't really have that. Halloween starts in, I think Halloween was the first big one that people were like, oh, yeah, that's the first one.
Mhm.
Unpopular opinion here. I think the first one that really lined up everything in the way a slasher ended up becoming is Friday the 13th, which, yes, I know is a knockoff.
Nice.
But that movie is all about just watching people get killed. That's how it was advertised. It was the whole trailer for it was you're going to see a bunch of people get killed. Whereas Halloween, I
Yeah,
think they were trying to advertise that it's really scary. You're home alone. Have you
yeah.
ever been a babysitter alone in the house with the kids? So, unpopular opinion. I'm going to say the first real true slasher is Friday the 13th. Everybody saw it, and it ticks all the boxes.
Nice.
What do you think?
Well, yeah, like you said, it's a really tough question, but there's a couple that people don't really talk about too much that are back in the '60s, actually, that I feel may not be like you probably are right. The first actual, you know,
There's a lot
slasher
of
as
movies
we
like
know
Peeping
them
Tom and
today.
stuff too that I think
That's
have
what I was gonna
elements.
say. That's one of
Yeah,
them.
yeah. But
And
yeah, talk about Peeping Tom. That's a good one to talk about.
oh, it's a great movie. Yeah, it came out just a couple of months before Psycho, and Psycho's the one that generally people say is the first. Um, but yeah, Peeping Tom came out just before it, and probably is even more influential to the slasher film.
Yeah. I think with
At
a lot of
least,
them, they're missing a key component. So Psycho,
yeah,
we only really have the one kill, so I don't think that's a slasher. By definition, a lot of people should be slashed. Not a one woman is slashed. So there's not a
yeah, that's true.
lot of slashing in that. So I can see how it definitely influenced the things that came after, and I think it's a proto slasher. And then Peeping
Yeah,
Tom, we're missing a final girl. So
right.
it's pretty pretty grim, but it's
But he
you know what
is
it
one
did?
that's a lot of people consider a Jello, but Blood and
Yeah.
Black Lace, I think, sets up a lot of it with the you got the
Maybe.
masked faceless killer with the bladed claw weapon, killing these fashion models one by one. There is a lot of killing,
Yeah.
and
No, I agree. There's
maybe not as
also
brutal and bloody, but I think it sets up a lot of the tropes and
yeah, a lot of those giallos were doing a lot of the slasher tropes before we even had it in the United States.
yeah,
And then there's
exactly.
also I want to say Krimi, I might be mispronouncing, but there was also the German kind of proto slasher films that were around the same
Yes.
time as the giallos. Do you know what I'm talking about?
Yeah.
Yeah, so like there's influences, but what I think it's like when the slasher came into its own, I feel like it became a very uniquely American thing. Yes, other countries have done it, but there's something about when it hit the 80s that became very American. I think the reason why is because horror movies play off of our fears, our societal fears. And in America, I think we're more afraid of our neighbors than a lot of people in other countries are. Like you watch a lot of Japanese movies and there are a lot about ghosts and stuff. In America, you are more afraid that a crazy person's going to break into your house and stab you than you are about
Yeah,
ghosts.
that's true. Another one that came out before Halloween that a lot of people don't talk about, which I think is hugely influential, is Alice, Sweet Alice.
Yeah, and again, you got like the mask. You get so many of those elements there. There's this one movie. I'm gonna look it up because I always forget the name of it. The Dorm to Drip Blood is one that I really think if people watched it, it would be the first slasher. It has everything there, just nobody saw it. But there was another one, a really old one, and I'm drawing a blank on the name. 13 Women. 13 Women too. But again, who's seen 13 Women?
Yeah.
Like nobody's
The
seen that. That one has it's got the harbinger, it's got the killer, it's got a final girl, but nobody saw it. So yeah, a lot of these movies, I don't think we would have Halloween or Friday the 13th without Black Christmas, without Peeping Tom. But all these things are kind of like the road that gets us there, you know?
I think a movie that influenced Friday 13th even more than Halloween is Bay of Blood with Mario Bava.
Especially Friday the 13th part 2.
Right, yeah,
Because
yeah,
it's got the double penetration kill, right?
yeah. And one dude gets the hatchet to the face, just like part 2 as well, the guy in the wheelchair gets the
Friday the 13th 2 ripped that movie off.
yeah, wicked.
So are you a big Bava fan?
I wouldn't say huge, but there's a few key ones that I really enjoy, yeah.
They had this episode of Joe Bob Briggs. Do you watch The Last Drive-In with Joe Bob Briggs?
I don't have Shudder,
Oh, I love
unfortunately,
it.
yeah, but I used to watch them way back on, the Monster Vision days.
He had this thing where he had a panel of people on both sides, and they were trying to determine if the first Giallo film was Bird with the Crystal Plumage or the one Blood and Black Lace, like if it was Argento or Bava. But ultimately Bava won, so good for him.
There's one even before that that's considered the first true Giallo is, The Girl Who Knew Too Much
See,
with,
that's the thing. I
John
think that
Saxon.
one should have won. I think the only reason why it wasn't on but in the what do you want to call it? The War of the Two is because I don't think that Shutter had that movie. Because that's a Bava
Mhm.
film, and that
Yeah,
came
right.
out before. But
Mhm.
ultimately, that's why I picked Bava in that war. Because I would say I would agree with you. But
But so it's very, like, Hitchcockish. It's probably more Giallo than slasher, but,
we've
there's a
got
lot there.
Heather here in the chat too, and Adam. Guys,
Hello.
Sean's channel link is pinned to the top there. So if you're not already subscribed, you absolutely should be subscribed. I feel like I'm going to sneeze, but if I say it out loud, then I won't sneeze. So is there a movie you want to start with? Or here's a good question. What do you think are the essential elements of an 80s slasher?
Hmm. Well, certainly a bladed weapon. Um, gory kills, but not really like say like Terrifiers, where it just shows everything and it goes on and on. They're just like quick kills. You get them out there quick and you know nasty but quick. And it's one by one, never like more than one person at a time. Usually, and you got the final girl at the end. And man, there's so many tropes. It's hard to. You have to have like that synthesizer '80s score.
Yes. And
Yeah,
I feel like she's not a true final girl unless she does the final girl gauntlet at the end where she has to it's like a race. She has to go and find all the bodies really, really quickly.
and they
She
set
runs.
up the
Yeah.
bodies
Oh,
just like
they're
Halloween
perfect.
with the
Yeah, this
yeah.
body drops down, she screams, she runs over here, there's one in the closet, then she goes over here. Yeah, they're perfectly set up. She finds them all.
That's one thing that Friday 13 totally ripped off. Like, cause that happens right at the end with Alex. Like, she goes in the car and sees the body. She sees the dudes hanging up on the door, and the the one dude drops from the rope that's hanging
And there's a body that drops in
from the
Halloween.
tree.
So yeah, it does. I mean, that was a
Right.
shameless ripoff. The other thing I think, and what makes because I think we can't talk about slasher movies without talking about the Final Girl. In I think it was 1990 that Men, Women, and Chainsaws came out. Carol G. Clover coined the term Final Girl, but it's very much married to this idea of slasher films. And I think it's like you said, it has to be a sharp weapon. It can't be a baseball bat, guys.
Hmm.
She can't. The killer can't have a baseball bat and be a slasher villain. He has to have a sharp weapon. It
No.
doesn't always have to be a male, as in Mrs. Voorhees, but there is a very disturbing reason for that. It has to be a sharp phallic weapon. And in some movies, it's
Yes.
more apparent than others. Look at something like Slumber Party Massacre. That is
Yeah. Yeah.
clearly
The
a
drill. Yeah.
metaphor for a dong. All right, guys, that big
Hmm.
drill. I mean, when it gets cut off at the end, this is not subtle metaphoring. This is not me being filthy. It's
Not at all.
intentional. And then our final girl, the whole movie, she is resisting this ultimate transition where she has to pick up the phallic object and defend herself, where she has to embrace her masculinity to save herself and save anybody she's responsible for. And a lot of times you see, like with Laurie Strode, like she'll pick up the knitting needle and she throws it down because she doesn't want to accept this masculine, violent part of herself that she needs to. She needs to do that if she's going to survive. And it's not until she finally does that that she's able to best the slasher villain. She basically has to embrace the dong herself. And once she embraces the dong, then she can kill the slasher. I think the best one ever, as far as just showing us that in the most explicit way, would be like the end of Texas Chainsaw Massacre 2, where Stretch has the chainsaw, sharp object, guys,
Yeah.
and she's like waving around just like Leatherface did.
Hmm.
So, yeah.
I love Texas Chainsaw too, by the way.
Me too. Do you want to talk about it?
Sure. I mean, I think it's incredibly underrated. I met
I agree.
Bill Moseley at one of the conventions, and I was telling him that, like, I don't get it. I don't know why this movie's so underrated. I've loved it since day one.
I
I
love it
mean, look at
too.
that dude taking off the Breakfast Club pose there.
Yes. So, something I heard about this movie that I think is really funny, and I have to agree with what I'm about to say, being one of the people who missed the comedy in Texas Chainsaw Massacre. Toby Hooper
Yes.
was so upset. He's like, "There's so many funny parts of Texas Chainsaw Massacre, and nobody caught it." It's and I saw it and I'm like, what are you talking about? That movie's horrifying. But when you watch it over and over again, like when they're like, Grandpa's the best. He does it with one hit. And Grandpa
Yeah.
just drops it. Like, it is really funny.
There's
It's,
definitely some stuff in there.
yeah.
Yeah.
I think it's overshadowed by just how, like, horrifying the film is. But it is really
Yeah.
funny. And so he wanted to come back. He didn't want to make the same movie twice and make one that really dug into the comedy. And I think he did a perfect job with Texas Chainsaw Massacre Part 2, and I think, like you said, it's so underrated. I mean, Bill Moseley alone.
I mean, what a great character. I mean, it's loaded with great characters. Stretch is a great character, I think. The radio DJ girl, the dude just shows up in her basement. That is a creepy scene, but man, great character.
The scratching of his plate. Oh, it's so gross. And I love Bubba. Like, he's just so
Can I
sweet.
buy some radio ad time?
Yeah, they're just so charismatic. I like the whole crew.
And Drayton Sawyer is great. I mean, he was great in the first one. He really lets loose in the second one. I think he's hilarious.
Yeah, I feel like they really have like turned their personalities up to like an 11.
Yeah. But that's the thing. It's a lot of things that the original was not, and I kind of like that. You can't just do the same exact thing in the second movie. You got to do something different. So I think the ways that they were different were really good. Like Stretch actually goes after the killers, which was
Yes.
amazing. I'm like, whoa, you know,
Yeah,
he
she is
straight up goes after
so
them, chases them.
Yeah, she's so brave in that movie. How she like just hunts them down. I mean, you have Dennis Hopper there, but he's kind of
Yeah.
almost like he kind of reminds me a bit. I don't know how familiar you are with Buffy the Vampire Slayer, but it's almost like Dennis Hopper is her watcher and she's the vampire slayer, and then she goes after them. Oh, when he's dual wielding those chainsaws,
That's hilarious.
thing of beauty. And they did some really creepy stuff for the first time in this movie. Like when they put the face on Stretch and she's wearing the face
Oh
of her
yeah.
friend. That happens way later on in Devil's Rejects. And I remember everybody made a big like fuss about it, like how scary it was. I'm just like, Texas Chainsaw Massacre did that with Bill Moseley a long time ago. So,
Something funny. My wife like walked in when I was watching that scene where Leatherface, cuts the dude's face up and he's just like holding it up, and then she's like, "Dude, there's something really wrong with you that you like this stuff."
I kind of
Like,
like
that's how
Bubba
I
in
know
it.
it's
Like,
good. That's how I know
yeah,
it's good.
it has to pass the wife test. She's like, that's just too messed up. Does your wife like slasher movies?
Occasionally she'll watch one with me. She has some fun with it sometimes, but she's not a horror buff by any means.
What do you think makes the Italian giallos different than our American slasher movies?
In my opinion, more emphasis is put on the mystery aspect of it, and every single one that you see, they're basically trying to rip off Hitchcock, Alfred Hitchcock. That noir style too. From like the 30s and 40s too. They try to incorporate in there.
It's crazy
Um,
how like something will become popular and then you see how that influences the things that come after it. And so it ends up being that things end up copying. So like, yeah, we copied the murder mystery aspect from the Giallo, which was copying America with the Hitchcock films. So like it just goes around and around and around. I remember I did a video on Eyes Without a Face, and at the time, France had not had any gory movies. They considered themselves to be very artsy. We do not make that kind of trash that like England is making with the Hammer film. We are classier than that. And then they
mhm.
make Eyes Without a Face, which is really shocking without being like excessively gory. And then that was really, really popular in America. And then all of a sudden, you go like 30 years later and now they're known for French extremity. Like it's crazy how these things evolve, and it's like each movie makes a step in this one direction and then you see the outcome of it and you're like, we never would have had this were it not for this film over here.
Also, a lot of them I think are very stylish with the direction. Like obviously, if you have a director like Mario Bava or Dario Argento, that is very artistic.
Do you think we have any stylish just straight up slashers like American slashers?
They can be. Yeah,
What do you think?
I've seen a lot of Jallos that are extremely sleazy, like some stuff that Mario
I know
Bava's
one that's pretty
son did.
sleazy. I'm gonna pull it
Yeah.
up here for you. I think you'll appreciate this. One that I think is pretty sleazy is Pieces.
Yes.
It's also really funny.
Yeah, it's hilarious at times,
This
actually.
is one where it's, I don't know, is it a giallo or is it a slasher? Because I think it easily fits both, even though it's
I think
Italian.
it fits both. Yeah, definitely.
Because this is really all about the kills. It's really cheesy. There's so much ridiculousness in this movie. Like the random
But
guy.
it is quite brutal though.
You bastards! A lady just
That's
screams out. Oh my gosh, I love that.
hilarious.
It's got the final the jump scare. That's another element of the slasher. It's not in every single one of them, but you know when they think the killer's dead and they come back for one last scare like in
Hmm.
Scream, you get that in
Yeah.
Pieces.
Yeah. Yeah. You do. I
Pieces.
love the opening scene with the kid. She's like messing with his comics and it's like, "What are you doing with this trash? You're reading this trash," and then he gets the axe. Like,
Yeah, he's got that like pervy puzzle, which I didn't even know pervy puzzles were a thing,
mm,
but he does.
that may influence Jigsaw. Huh?
Because that maybe that is in a way a prequel to Saw.
Yeah,
It could
might
be.
be.
We also haven't talked about another kind of slasher. We haven't talked about supernatural slashers either.
Oh yeah,
So I think that's
there's
kind
some
of an
good ones.
interesting thing that happens. So the slasher, just like the zombie film before, so zombie films are continually popular today because they're dirt cheap. It's really easy to do some pretty effective zombie makeup on a budget and make a really scary film. You know, Romero did it
Hmm.
by like rubbing two pennies together, and that movie is still effectively scary. The other thing with Romero's film that I think leads itself to the slasher, it was the first time we saw our neighbors being a threat to us. Because before that, it was the atomic age. So it's like 50-foot spiders and, you know, giant ants and things like that, you know, because everyone was afraid of, you know, nuclear apocalypse. Then we get Romero with zombies, and they're the people you know. They're the people from up the street that could attack you. And I think if we didn't have that film, we wouldn't have slashers today. You combine that with like Giallo and stuff, it all comes together. I feel like I should have a board with like string,
Mhm.
right?
Yeah.
But the other thing they share is the zombie films are really cheap to make. And I think that's why we see a lot of new filmmakers doing zombie films. But the other film that's really cheap to make is a slasher. You don't even
Yes.
have to show the killer. You can just show the gloves, which they have to do to hide their identity, but they're
Hmm.
dirt cheap to make. And I think that's why we had such a huge influx of them in the 80s. What do you think?
That's what started the whole boom. Is that even Sean Cunningham said we ripped off Halloween because it made so much money, and it was such a low budget film. It would only cost what 300,000 to make Halloween, so that they saw
Yeah.
that, oh, we can knock out a quick slasher movie cheap,
I think what
and
a lot
that's
of those slashers missed though that Halloween did. So Halloween, it's on next to nothing budget. But John Carpenter was really smart in that he put his money into the camera. They had that beautiful steady cam, and that's why
yes,
Halloween
the
looks
Panaglide.
gorgeous. Yeah, the Panaglide. There you go. That's why it looks gorgeous. Whereas Friday the 13th looks a little bit like a snuff film. It's just really kind of gritty looking. But I don't know. I love Halloween. I kind of feel like Friday the 13th, even though it's knocking it off, it has some more interesting lore to it. Like, I
I
like
think
the
it's got
lore.
I think it's got some great atmosphere.
Yeah, those beautiful forest shots. You don't get that in the ones that come after it. But the first one, there's so many just really pretty shots of the forest that
Mm,
really adds to that atmosphere because you're constantly wondering who's out there. Are they watching? Are they getting closer? You don't know because there's so much around them.
yeah.
And I think
One
the
scene I think
performances were good.
Yeah. One thing scene I think is brilliant is the scene at night when it's raining and you see the girl looking out the window and she hears the little boy's voice, "Help me, help me!" Like, man, the atmosphere and that was incredible.
Yeah, there's also that I think it's the same scene where she's with Kevin Bacon. That scene's really good. Like they got actors well before they blew up and became really famous, giving really good
Yeah,
performances, which I think is really cool. And I know Betsy Palmer didn't want to do it, but she's so iconic in the movie. And they got Tom Savini, doing their
yeah,
kills, which is pretty
yeah.
cool.
The
Like,
money was used right.
yeah, Tom Savini actually is involved with a lot of really famous slashers, and I think people know that. What would you say is Tom Savini's like best effects slasher movie? Because I have an answer.
Slasher movie.
Yes.
Whew, man, that is tough. Um, I'm actually gonna say the Prowler.
That's what I was gonna say. I was so hoping you were gonna say it too. So the Prowler, there's a lot wrong with the Prowler.
Hmm.
It's really, really painfully slow. And I don't
That's
think
all
the
right.
killer is that interesting. But the kills in this movie are a thing of freaking beauty. I think it's
Oh
some of
yeah,
Tom Savini's best work.
absolutely.
I mean, I think really good kills are kind of like a magic show because, especially back in the day, they didn't have CGI or anything. And so we would watch these movies when we were young and we're like, that has to be real. How could they pull that off? There's
No.
so many fantastic kills. Are there any that come to mind for you with this one?
Oh, absolutely. The short sword dude, the top of the dude's head, and it comes out like it's the bottom of his chin stuff, and he's like, his eyes go white, and that scene's
Ah,
awesome.
that end is so creepy too. I think that was the same kid who's also I think he's in Friday the 13th Part 3. I don't know. There's a lot of kids in these movies who look the
Oh
same.
yeah, when
I
they
think he
show him
is though.
in the shower, it's like,
Yeah, yeah, that kid. I think he's also in that movie, but I'm not positive. But The Prowler, I think this one has gone under a lot of people's radars. Do you want to tell them a little bit about what it's about in case they're not familiar with it?
well, yeah, there's this guy that's a veteran, and he's going out with this girl Rosemary, and while he's off, off in another country, like fighting a war, and um, she sends him a dear John letter,
Oh,
breaking up with him. Like, oh man, that's gotta be rough, right? And then they have this big dance, and he comes back for his revenge,
But yeah,
kills her off with the
it's
pitchfork.
it seems so cut and dry, but this is also like some of the great ones of who done it. You don't
Yes,
really know who the killer is until the end. I mean, there's not a lot of suspects, guys. But the kills are fantastic. And yeah, I think it's a good time. I think it's one that I've watched at least a few times over, but mostly this one I really like for the kills. What about you?
I love the look of the kill. Like you said, he's not very interesting, but the look is really cool with the army fatigues, and you can't see his face at all with the camouflage mask and the
It's really
the
unique.
pitchfork, which is so weird. Like, he's a veteran, but why is his weapon of choice a pitchfork for some reason?
It's really unique, and I think that was one of the challenges of making a unique slasher killer in the 80s is what can we do to hide their face that hasn't been done before? Because you have the point of view ones. You have ones like Black Christmas, which I know that's 70s, but or even Friday the 13th, where it's easy to obscure their face because you just don't see their face. But a lot of the other ones, like the Prowler, what do they look like? Because you also want to have the iconic Jason Voorhees killer. And a
Yeah,
lot of these guys
exactly.
didn't get sequels, and I think maybe they just weren't as iconic. Like, why do you
Like,
think the
for
Prow,
example, like Prom Night was such a boring look. It's just a dude with a black ski mask and black clothes.
which is a bummer
This guy
because
had
Prom
really cool.
Night is a really fun movie. And I think if it had a more iconic killer, it might have done a bit better.
Yes, I agree.
But Prom Night did launch its own slasher villain. So we gotta look that up. That's actually what I wanted to talk about. And it kind of segues
Hell,
into it segues into supernatural ones. And the supernatural one, I think they're really fun and exciting. That's like your Freddy Kruegers and stuff where they have powers. She's dead. So she's got a lot of abilities. And this one, I think if you like A Nightmare on Elm Street and you haven't seen this movie, you really need to check it out because there's a lot in this movie that reminds me of A Nightmare on Elm Street. What do you think?
absolutely. I agree. Yeah, it
Like,
definitely brings a huge supernatural element to the slasher genre, and even though it really has nothing to do with the first movie, but
it really
other than
doesn't. So Mary Lou, I like her because she's kind of a bad girl. She's the absolute opposite of a final girl. Like in the beginning of it, I can't remember the exact quote, but she basically talks about how she likes boys, she likes doing all these bad things, and she loved every second of it. And then she gets killed at a high school dance after she like ditched her date and went out with another guy. And then she comes back many years later. I think she died in like the 50s and she comes back in the 80s. And she's trying to possess this really good girl, like final girl type girl. So people can tell that that girl's acting differently because Mary Lou is quite a bit different. But you see some really cool stuff. Like there's a rocking horse that gets kind of animated at one point. There's the cool kill with, the water, just a lot of perspective things that remind me a lot of A Nightmare on Elm Street. And like Freddy Krueger, she's good with the one-liners and the wisecracks. Like she's super
yeah,
charismatic. And she came back for Prom Night 3 as well, which I don't think a lot of people like that one as much, but I think it gets even goofier and sillier in the same way that as we go through the Nightmare on Elm Streets, Krueger gets goofier and sillier. Some people like
that's a
that, some
good
people
point.
don't. But I love me
Very
some
cool.
Mary Lou. I think she's fun. Certainly more fun than Prom Night 4, which has nothing to do with them. Again, Prom Night's a very inconsistent franchise.
Yeah, definitely.
I want to talk about My Bloody Valentine because someone mentioned it in the chat. My son is a huge Scooby Doo fan, and he says this is the most Scooby Doo of all the slashers. Though I disagree. I have one coming up that I think is the most Scooby Doo. But it does have a lot of Scooby Doo elements. Do you like My Bloody Valentine?
I love it. It's one of my absolute favorites.
My friend
I
used to
think it.
be a roommate of one of the girls in the movie. The girl who's I think she's the one that's killed in the base, the underneath the thing with all the pipes.
Yeah,
Yeah,
I think it's a perfect holiday themed slasher.
It's hard to do a good Valentine's Day one, but this one did it. Like with the heart in the box of chocolates, like the actual human heart. And then it's got the washing machine kill. There's some great kills in this. And again, they found a creative way of covering his face.
Yes. I love the look of the miner, that's awesome. With the
And it's,
pickaxe.
yeah, and it's a lot like Prowler in that you think it's pretty cut and dry who the killer is. Oh, it's Henry Warden or Harry Warden.
Yes,
Right?
yes.
Harry Warden. Yeah, Harry Warden. You think it's cut and dry, but it's not. It's a who done it. And then the remake flipped that by changing who the killer was.
It's got a good, cool backstory too.
Yeah, yeah. Tell them about the backstory because they're not familiar with it, or like what My Bloody Valentine's about.
Well, I mean, with Harry, when it starts with the Harry Warden, and he's a miner, and he gets stuck in the mine, and it collapses on him, and then when they see him, and then when they take the rubble away, he's gone like insane. He's like chewing on a dude's
Yeah,
arm.
he like ate all the guys he was stuck in there with. That's
Yeah.
exactly me. An elevator gets stuck. I give it 2 hours before I'm eating people, so I totally understand. But yeah, so then they never allowed to celebrate Valentine's Day again. And they
Hmm.
live on what's it called? Valentine's Day Bluff or Valentine's Bluff? Oh,
Valentine's Bluffs. Yeah,
I think so. So it's something cheesy like that. So
yeah.
of course they have to celebrate Valentine's Day.
I
And
know.
it's a really tiny, tiny town. So the only thing you can really go to meet other young people are dances. And they're not allowed to have dances. This is like worse than the Footloose town, guys. It's so
Yeah.
sad. These poor kids just want to hook up with other kids in a boring, lame, tiny town. So they get their dance finally. And then people start dying. And of course, it's got to be Harry, right?
Hmm.
But it's not
You know what else I enjoy, which just makes it interesting, is the whole love triangle with Axel and the girl, like the.
Harry. Yeah. So it starts off with the original dance that um they had a dance back in the day, right?
Mhm.
If I'm remembering this correct. It's been a while, so correct me if I'm wrong here. So they had a dance back when the main cast was in high school.
Yep.
And what is not Axel, the other one, TJ?
Yes.
TJ is dating the girl. I'm gonna look on IMDb. Sarah. They're dating, and they have a dance, and then that ends up going poorly. I can't remember what exactly happened in the past
It's been
one.
a while since I've seen it too.
Yeah. At any rate, I feel like TJ got
Well,
like
Harry Warren comes back, and
yeah, yeah. So he comes back and it really messes with TJ. It's hard because I'm getting it mixed up with the remake in my head. And the remake, I know TJ is down there and he sees Harry and that messes him up.
yeah,
And then it shoots forward like what, 10 years?
yes,
And
right.
now the girl is with Axel, who is like a sheriff. And TJ's back too because his family was really wealthy and I think they owned the mines and he's not
Hmm.
been seen or heard from and people think he's been in a mental institution because of what happened to him. And now he's back and then you've got that love triangle because that was her first love but now she's with Axel and in the remake they're even like married and such. Oh my gosh, my dog
And they're
is
both
freaking out.
minors, of course.
Yes. Ah, I'm coming, boys. Come on in. Come on. More the merrier. All right. Guys, I'm talking to Sean. I do not have time to give you pets. Important stuff. But yeah, it's crazy because at the end of it, it's not Harry Warden. I don't want to spoil it for you guys in case you haven't seen it because I do think this one's kind of underrated. But even if you've seen the remake, it is a different ending. So that's what's cool. I am surprised this one didn't get sequels.
I know it's one of the few that never got it. It got a remake, but not a sequel.
Yeah,
And I feel like there was a lot there. They could have easily
I
made
think
a
they
whole
could have.
franchise out of it.
Well, and it could have honestly been the original Scream because you would never know who's in the Harry Warden mask. You
Yeah,
know,
yeah. It
it
could
could
be
be a different.
somebody different each time. Yeah,
Exactly. This could have been Scream before Scream.
Yeah.
but it just didn't happen. I think it's a real missed opportunity. The other thing I like about My Bloody Valentine a lot is the kids are really likable. Sometimes in these slasher movies, it's like they make the kids intentionally awful. So you want them to die, but I
You
really
can't
like the
wait for
kids in
them.
this movie.
Yeah, they're all pretty interesting characters.
Yeah. So this one's pretty underrated. What's another one you want to talk about?
Well, speaking of Tom Savini, there's also The
Yes! Oh, we
Burning,
have to talk about this.
which he left Friday the 13th Part 2, and he refused that to do The Burning.
Yeah, so after Friday the 13th just made a ton of money, which again is why this slashers became such a big deal, because you're spending very little, you're making bank. And that's why this blew up the way it did. I think it even saved more money than like the Giallos, because the Giallos would do, like you said, a lot of fancy stuff with like the cinema and stuff. These are made on next to nothing, especially The Burning. The day for night shots in this are terrible. But I do love The Burning. This is another one that I feel like the kids are pretty likable in it. And you've got a lot of before they were famous people in here. So
Yes, you had Holly Hunter,
Holly Hunter, Fisher
uh,
Stevens.
Jason, the guy from Seinfeld,
Yeah, Jason
Jason
Alexander, when he had
Alexander.
hair and his hair.
Yeah. Fisher Stevens, who was in like Short Circuit and stuff.
Yeah. For the longest time, I didn't know Fisher Stevens was in Short Circuit. And then I found out that he's just in brown face, and it really ruined the movie
Yeah,
for me.
that's another story. Yeah.
That's a whole other ball of wax. The 80s were imperfect, guys. But
Yes.
I love that movie. So The Burning, this is playing on a real East Coast legend of Crowley. And I don't entirely know the whole legend of something like he would like off kids or something. But this movie also falls into a lot of the prank gone wrong kind of
Yeah.
subgenre. So these kids play a prank on the guy who he works at this camp they go to. They play a prank on him. They put a real life human skull in his room, and it scares Crowley so bad that he kicks it off, and then his whole room goes on fire and he burns up, and then he gets sent away to some kind of hospital for a really long time. He's all scarred up. And then he comes back after he's been released. He makes a brief stop with a sex worker, kills her, even though she didn't do anything to him. This is my problem with Crowley. Crowley's not very fair. This poor sex worker didn't do anything to him. He not only kills her, he steals her shears, which, by the way,
Yeah.
missed opportunity. This movie should have been called Sheer Terror.
Oh, yeah. I like it. I like it.
But he steals her shears and he goes to this camp, but the kids who did the prank to him aren't even there, minus one guy who's a counselor now. It's not fair. Right?
Yeah, that's true. But they're in the wrong place at the wrong time, That's the camp where it all happened. Just like Friday 13th.
This movie, it also has a bit of a reputation for not aging super well. This was created by Bob and Harvey Weinstein. Like, they wrote the story, all that stuff. And you can definitely see his nasty little fingerprints on it, because one of the big parts of this movie is there's this guy who's a total creep, and he like spies on the girls and everything, but he's supposed to be like the main character that you're supposed to like. And I don't think anyone I've ever known who's watched this movie feels sympathy for this guy, because he's a creep. But it just shows, when you have messed up people making a movie, that they don't have always the best understanding of what would make a heroic character.
And the movie makes it seems like you're almost supposed to have sympathy for this guy or something. Oh, he's misunderstood or something.
Yeah, I liked that guy Tiger better, and he's supposed to be kind of the bully, and I was like, no, that guy's okay. I mean,
I know he's supposed to be the jerk, like.
Yeah. So, but I do think, despite all that, I do think this is one that's still worth checking out. Again, because like you said, Tom Savini's involved. I don't think it's his best work. I still stand by what we said earlier with The Prowler, but this one takes a really long time to get going. I think they do a good job of setting up like Jason Alexander's character and stuff and all the kids. It does feel like a real summer camp, even though the kids are really, really old.
That's
But
another trope of 80s slashes where the teenagers are played by 25-year-olds.
Adam says, or maybe call it hooked on killing. But yeah, they go out on these canoes, and then there's just it goes from having nothing happen for the longest time to just mass slaughter. Everyone gets messed up. Fisher Stevens is losing fingers. It's crazy.
That's an awesome scene though.
That's
That rap.
such a cool scene. So yeah, this is definitely one that I think is worth checking out, despite some parts of it that I don't think have aged super well. What are some that you guys in the chat really like? Wrestling God
Oh,
has a theory on Scream. He says, my theory is Stu Macher's reason why he's targeting Sid and her kids is because what is the one thing that makes a great killer in a movie? Possession. He wanted to have, I don't know. I think I lost. Oh, there's more. I don't know, but Scream is the 90s, so I'm not going to talk about Scream today.
yeah,
You guys are trying to tempt me into talking about Scream, and
yeah.
that's the 90s. We're not talking about that today. So, we mentioned supernatural slashers a little bit, and it's kind of the supernatural slasher, it's a double-edged sword because we mentioned that what made these slasher movies so profitable and why we had so many of them is because they were cheap. Then you have Wes freaking Craven shaking
Mhm.
things up by being a genius, and he comes out with a Nightmare on Elm Street, and this completely changed the game
Oh
because
yeah.
with a supernatural killer, now we have these dream sequences which required a lot of special effects. This is not a cheap movie. This is not Friday the 13th. This has
Oh.
rooms that are rotating and stuff. So this now to compete with Nightmare on Elm Street, you have more supernatural slashers coming out, but they cost a lot of money. And I think ultimately that's kind of what led to slashers going out of fashion because we didn't have a lot of new people making them as much because they couldn't compete with the big budget slashers. You know, if you have something like a Nightmare on Elm Street, people aren't going to go watch, I don't know, The Dentist. I know that's the 90s, but you know, it just doesn't compare. And then the
Right.
other thing is I think people got sequel fatigue towards the end of the 80s. What do you think?
I think definitely when Elm Street came out, that was that. Even then, we was starting to get some fatigue by 1984. Like the boom seemed like the initial boom that started in 1980 with Friday 13th was kind of, veering off because there was so many people doing it. Like every week, new slashers coming out, and it's just the same type of thing with a Jason type killer, you know, stalking young women and picking them off one by one. But this just brought something so fresh and new to the genre with the supernatural elements and the Freddy and the dreams, the dream demon in the dream world. You die in the dream and you die for real. It's just a brilliant concept to like
It
just turn
also,
the slasher genre on its head.
yeah, it also cemented something that we didn't have before. It gave us icons. You know,
Right.
slasher icons became a big deal. So people like Michael Myers. When they did Halloween 3, initially people hated that movie because they're like, well, where's Michael Myers? I want to see Michael Myers. I don't even care if it's a bad movie. Just give me Michael Myers. So we have Michael, Freddy, all of these movies, you know, all of these icons became kind of established in the 80s. And I think that's what a lot of these franchises were trying to do is to create the next icon that would be on kids' lunch boxes and stuff. That was just weird with the 80s, guys. I don't know how many of you guys were 80s kids, but I didn't even watch The Nightmare on Elm Street until I was a bit older, but I knew who Freddy Krueger was. I had seen the toys. Yes, there was toys, like Stretchy Freddy. There was Halloween costumes for little kids. The way
Yeah.
stuff was marketed towards children in the 80s was very strange. I think it's even in Wedding Singer. One of the little kids is dressed up as Freddy Krueger. Like every kid knew who Freddy was. Every kid knew who Jason was, even if you'd never seen the movie. They became larger than life, you know?
Like, the dude has razors for fingers. Like,
Yeah. And that's also another shift because you mentioned with the giallos and some of the early ones, they were a whodunit. When you get into Freddy and then the later Friday the 13th films, minus the first one, it's it everyone knows who the killer is. You just want
Yeah.
to see them doing their thing. And that's what's really strange about it is it went from trying to figure out the mystery and rooting for the final girl to rooting for the killer. Like you don't care about any of the kids in say like Friday the 13th part 7 or 6 or any of those. You're watching cuz of Jason.
Yeah, and the big thing about Freddie is he does talk, he does speak, and he does the one-liners, and that's such a huge part of him and his character, and we hadn't really seen that too much before. That was something new too. And then
Yeah, the
and then I think
wisecracking.
films after that tried to emulate that. Oh, we're gonna make our killer a wisecracking killer. That.
And sometimes it works and sometimes it really doesn't. The one I think where it really works, and I think it kind of works better than with Freddy Krueger. So is Freddy Krueger, I would say he's scarier when the first couple movies when you don't see him as much. When he's the Wicked Witch of the West and Freddy's dead, he's not scary. But Don Mancini, he did say that the big influence for Chucky was Freddy Krueger. Like he's told all the time, you should have Chucky go against Leprechaun. And he's like, actually, I've always wanted him to go against Freddy because they're both supernatural and Freddy's personality influenced Chucky. And once he said that, I was like, wow, he's 100% right. Like these two should have a beer together. They have a lot in common personality wise. And I personally really enjoy Chucky as he becomes more comedic. Though we only have one Child's Play movie in the 80s, and so that's this one that came out in 1988, Child's Play. Not as much wisecracking. It's almost got a little bit of that who done it because you're supposed to question whether or not the doll is actually doing it or I think it's really kind of implied that it could be Andy potentially doing it like Andy's not quite okay.
Yeah,
I
that's
mean,
true.
now we know, like, now I don't think anybody would look into that as being ambiguous. But I think the original Child's Play movie is kind of trying to make you think that it could just be Andy.
Yeah, yeah, that's a good point.
But I love Child's Play. How do you feel about Child's Play? You don't like Child's Play, I
I
can
knew it was coming. I knew this was coming because I am not a big Child's Play guy.
tell. That's
But I
okay.
hate to disappoint you.
I mean,
But I do enjoy the films. I think they're a lot of fun and they're funny. And that's the thing about it is that they're so funny that I think that overshadows the horror to me is the humor in these films. And that makes it to me not take it as seriously, I guess.
did you first
And
watch
that's the
these
thing with Child's
movies,
Play for me.
Child's Play, as a kid or as an adult?
I saw it right when it first came out in 1988. Yeah. Even then, I didn't take it seriously. I just thought it was funny, like the scene when he's in the elevator, like, what an ugly
Yeah.
doll. Fuck you. So,
I
like, I
think
was laughing hysterically.
for me, there were certain slashers that really stood out to me. One thing I like about the slasher genre is, like we mentioned, the final girl, and it's just for me naturally when I watch a movie, if there's a female lead character, I'm gonna latch onto them a bit more just because I'm female. But as a child, the ones that really made me excited were the ones with kids in it. And so even though I saw a lot of Chucky pictures and stuff for a long time, like Chucky freaked the crap out of me. I remember my friend from the video store had this like bumper sticker from Child's Play 2, and I couldn't even look at that. Like his little face creeped me the crap out. Like I was like, no, I had nightmares about Chucky before I even saw it. But what I ended up really liking about it is you have this kid who has zero power. Especially in the second one, he's in foster care. He has zero power. Nobody believes him. And he holds his own against this doll, which I
Yeah.
thought as a kid was really cool. Like we got our own like little badass kid superhero. And then the other two that I really connected with were Tommy Jarvis, who
Yes.
was so much. Like, he was the coolest kid to me. So Tommy Jarvis, specifically in Friday the 13th Part 4, he's so cool. Again, we got Tom Savini back, so he's almost like a little kid, Tom
And
Savini.
he's a horror fan.
Yes.
He makes the horror masks and the
Yeah, so he's super cool. And I wanted Part 4. He loves horror, but he kind of incorporates what one of my favorite Final Girls, Jenny, did by empathizing with Jason. He thinks about Jason as a person and not as this unstoppable killing machine. So at the end of it, he shaves his head and he tries to make himself look as much like Jason did when he drowned as possible. And that gives Jason pause.
yes.
Something more people should do because that seems to help. Though I think he's so angry after part 6 that that's not going to work. But it worked with Jenny and it works with Tommy that they show empathy for him, that they treat him like a human being. But it was so cool that this kid is so smart. He loves horror. He behaves like a little kid. I love that scene where he's in his bed and he's looking at the teenagers across the way and he gets so excited and kicks his little legs and stuff. Like, he's perfectly written. He's exactly a little kid. I just saw Five Nights at
Yeah.
Freddy's 2, and I did like it, but the kids do not speak or behave like children. Tommy Jarvis behaves like a child.
Yeah, that's true. That's a good point. It's almost like when you see your first Playboy magazine or something, like, when he discovers,
Yeah.
like, these naked girls or whatever.
And as a child horror fan, I think we all kind of have that. Like, we're watching something we're not allowed to be watching. Like, oh, like I'd go to over a friend's house and watch a like Nightmare on Elm Street, which I'm not supposed to be watching. And it's like there's a little bit of danger to it that you're doing something you're not supposed to do. So, I mean, there's
Yeah,
other
it's
elements of
like
it too.
yeah, it's like when I used to go to the video store and rent all the horror slashers and everything, and I was way underage.
Yeah.
Like,
Yeah. How did you relate to Tommy at all when you were a kid?
yeah, yeah, definitely.
Like I liked him. I like him in part 6 too, but I liked him well in 5 he's hilarious. But in this one yeah, he's just such a cool character and the fact that he's a boy and a kid made him a lot different than a lot of the other heroes in slasher movies. Like that's just not something I'd seen a lot. I'd seen some other kids in like movies like The Gate, but
Yeah.
Tommy's smart. Like Tommy can fix the car. He's just the coolest kid ever, right?
Yeah.
So cool.
I think that's what makes this movie is Tommy and that ending is just incredible, the whole showdown and like you said when he shaves his head, tries to get inside his head and the awesome effects from Tom Savini in that
Yes,
scene,
when
when he
Jason's head
knocks the
slides down.
mask off and machete right to the head and then his head slides down on it. Like
Oh, it's
that's sick.
so gruesome and it's so good. It's so
Yeah.
good. The other thing I really like about this movie, if we're gonna, as an adult, what I appreciate about this movie so much is a lot of the Friday the 13th movies. That is one of the things that when you find out behind the scenes stuff, you get kind of upset because these movies were not made with any respect towards the actors. They got people who they didn't pay well and then they didn't treat them well. So, an example, Friday the 13th Part 2, the girl who is actually the younger sister of the guy in this movie, Part 4, she was underage. She should not have been doing a sex scene. There was nobody there to make sure she was treated well. And she was so nervous about taking off her top that instead of saying, hey, maybe we should get somebody here or maybe we should rehire somebody who's of age, no, they blew cocaine into her face, guys.
Oh
Like,
jeez.
it's so like these things would not happen today. And Friday the 13th Part 4, there's more of that going on. So there's the girl who's in the water and that water's freezing cold. Most of
Oh
the time
yeah,
when
in
you
the
guys
raft
watch a
scene, yeah.
yeah, most of the time when you watch a movie, they're gonna be in freezing cold water, even if it's something that you wouldn't expect, something like Romeo and Juliet. When they're in that pool, it's freezing cold because otherwise your skin will flush. So movies like it when you're really, really cold. But this is cold because they're actually outside and it's actually a lake and it's actually not even summer. It's like late fall. The girl was so cold. She ended up, I think she did get treated for hypothermia. And Ted White, who plays Jason, being that he's a stunt performer, he was the one who was like, no, we are stopping right now. I am not
Yeah.
doing any more work until we get this girl treated. And she did have hypothermia. And, she could have potentially died, but all they cared about was getting their shot. They didn't care
Getting
about the
that scene,
safety
yeah.
of anybody. Though he also
Crazy.
says that Corey Feldman was a little shit. Which I think is kind of fun.
Yeah. Something funny is so many people put this one at the top of the list as being the best Friday 13th. I see like any ranking you see is like most, but I'm not as high on it as most people are, but do think it's one of the better ones, but it's not like the top of the list for me
For
personally.
me, it's actually not the top of my list either. I don't want to. My favorite, honestly, is the remake. I know you guys hate me. I don't care. I like it a
Oh, really?
lot. I think it's really good. And then second would be Friday the 13th Part 2. I know it's got problems, but I love Jenny, and it's just for me the most rewatchable. But I do
Oh, yeah.
really like this one. For me, the stuff with the teenagers in this one is really boring. I know Crispin Glover, everyone loves him, but
Yeah,
the teenagers in this, the Doublemint twins, all that stuff, I kind of tune out. I'm just not into it.
that's the thing. Like the characters is what annoys me about it. That so many people
Yeah.
talk about. They love the characters. I'm like, what?
I
I
love the
think they're so
Jarvises.
forgettable.
I wish we had more time with Tommy, his older sister, and his mom. I think they're really cute. And I
Yeah.
want to see them more. I also wanted to see the guy who he's the older brother of the girl who's killed in the Bay of Blood kill. That's really
Yeah, and
interesting.
they do nothing with that.
They completely missed opportunity there because I think one of
Yeah.
the most hilarious scenes in any Friday the 13th movie is when the guy's downstairs and he's like, he's killing me. Now, the reason for this is the director, I think it was Joseph Zeta, the director, or somebody involved, said that they had heard a real story where someone said that when they were getting killed. Sometimes you just can't go off of true stories because
Yeah.
even if it's true, people won't believe it. It's silly. It doesn't come off really well. It makes that character kind of a joke. And it could have been really cool. And again, unpopular opinion, this is why I like the remake. They do the same character where he's looking for his sister, but they do it well. And I know a lot of you guys hate the underground tunnels and stuff, but they ask themselves, is he going to be supernatural or not? Okay, if he's not supernatural, how's he getting everywhere quickly? I really like it, guys. Sorry.
Oh, I love that actually.
Really?
That's probably my favorite part of the remake. Although I'm probably not as high in it as you, but that everything they do with Jason in that movie, I think is great. But a lot of the stuff outside of that, I don't care. I don't like the characters at all.
Yeah, the characters are really sleazy, though. I think they're
Yeah.
funny. Like the guy who's like, "Your tits are stupendous." Like that cracks me up, but it's just what makes, I guess, me laugh. I like that movie a lot, and I also, yeah, I love Part Two a lot, even though it's not my favorite Jason. But it changes all the time for me because I used to also, for the longest time, my favorite was Part Seven because again, they had a cool female lead character, and she's basically Carrie, but she's a
Yes.
good guy. And that final fight between the two of them, it's dropped down my list because the kids in that are awful. And when Tina's not on screen, it's really boring. But everything with Tina and that final fight and the Weekend from Bernie's guy getting it with that thing, love it. So
But what
good.
sucks about that one is the all the scenes are cut. The what is it? The MPAA like
Yes.
really cut every scene's like cut short. You don't see the blood, you don't see the gore.
That's actually something I really want to talk about too, because I think you're onto something here. Is for something else that killed the slasher genre, but really quick, because it's Christmas week, guys. It's Christmas week, so I want to give out some memberships. As a YouTuber, we have I don't know about all of them, but I have 10 I'm allowed to give out for free every month, and it's Christmas week. So if you are subscribed to the channel, make sure that in your settings you have the ability to receive gift memberships. And if you do, you could get one. So Ariel, I hope you do because I keep hoping that you're gonna win one. So it will give out 5. So sorry, Sean, really quick here. Oh no. Let's see if this will work. Uh oh. I think I lost it. It's okay. I'm working on it. Okay. There we go. Membership gifting. Send out 5 now. Yay! So hopefully some of you guys get a membership. And memberships are really fun because every Friday I try to do member exclusive content. So it might be a video. This coming Friday, we're going to have a game night. I also do movie watch party nights. Yeah. So congratulations to everyone who got one. And hopefully you'll come hang out with us on member nights.
Congratulations.
So, back to our discussion. So you hit on something really smart there. And that was how the MPA started coming down hard on slasher films. And one that was butchered horribly was Friday the 13th Part 7. And it really stinks because these days I think we would have a digital copy of the film and it could be restored in some way. Or I think these days a lot of times you'd get like an unrated version like we did with Megan. But back in the day, if it got cut, a lot of times it was lost forever, which was a huge bummer. So we have not seen what was supposed to be Friday the 13th Part 7 because they did film a lot of this stuff, but it was cut.
I think it could have made the movie a lot better. Yeah.
It's a shame.
I wanted to see that blood, like especially in that scene you just mentioned with the doctor, the Weekend at Bernie's, dude. That would have been great. I wanted to see him get sliced up and
he was such
splattered all over the place.
And it's the angriest I think Jason is in the whole franchise. He's so pissed because he's been underwater for a really long time. So he just seems so angry in this. I don't think you can reason with him like you did in Part 4 or 2. Like he would just be like, no. Like I'm just pissed off. I'm just gonna kill anybody. And it's a shame that we didn't get to see him just really, unleash on these teenagers because they're awful too. So I would have been another one I really liked, speaking of kid protagonists from the 80s, is Halloween 4. Jamie Lloyd. So Jamie Lloyd is, I feel like, you know how like you have My Buddy and Kid Sister? You got Tommy Jarvis and Jamie Lloyd. So Jamie Lloyd was super cool. She's a little girl, but she's able to hold her own against Michael Myers. And I think Michael Myers, when it comes to the slasher villains, he's one of the scariest ones because you never really know what's going on with him.
Yeah, there's a lot of mystery to his character, that's for sure. Even though all we really know is that, we don't know why he does what he does, at this point anyway.
Yeah. And they start to make it about like his family and stuff, but it's always kind of confusing as to what's going on in his head. I think it's Part 5 where he like sheds a tear when she like touches him or something, but because they're together in the 2 movies, but he still goes after her. So it's like, what is going on in Michael Myers' head? And it's that mystery that makes it kind of confusing. I don't know if you could pull off the psychological tricks that work on Jason because it seems like Michael is smarter, at least to me. I mean, the dude knows how to drive a car. What? So.
And he likes to play trick or treat.
Yeah, he's got a sense of humor. He's got a sense of humor too, which I think is something that we forget a lot because he's not doing the one-liners, but like he wears the sheet and Bob's glasses. Like obviously he's having a good time, right? I think in some ways he's kind of like the big brother to Sam in the later movie Trick or Treat. Like he's celebrating the things that make Halloween great. Like we wear costumes and we do these things because it's Halloween. Like obviously the guy loves Halloween. But he definitely has a mystery to him. Fiore says, yes, Halloween 4 and 5. Honestly, these 2 movies are the top 2 and 3 in my ranking of the Halloween movies. Do you have a favorite Halloween movie?
Yeah, the original,
For me,
definitely.
that one is too. I love the original.
It's tough to beat that. But I think Jamie Lloyd was a great addition to the franchise. I feel like it breathed new life. Once you knew Jamie Lee Curtis wasn't coming back, it's like, oh, what are they gonna do now? And I think this was a really interesting way to do that. Just say that Jamie Lee died in a car crash, and this is her daughter.
This one, it's a kind of a
And
lot like Friday the 13th Part 4 for me, where as a kid, I really loved this, but as an adult, I get so bored of watching the teenager stuff. Like, I give zero craps that her foster sister's upset about her boyfriend, and I just don't care. That part, I
yeah,
just get back to Jamie Lloyd. Like, I think
exactly.
all of these movies, and I feel like there's a lot of pressure to have some kind of sexuality or nudity. It's where we have a lot of gratuitous shower scenes, and for that you need teenagers. So even though I think this movie, Halloween 4 and Friday the 13th Part 4, would have been better without all the teenagers, I feel like they put them in there so that they could have like the shower scene, or so you could have the girl in the tight t-shirt or the sex scene. And I just don't think they needed it. I don't think they trusted their characters enough. But I guess you also need a
Yeah.
body count, right?
hmm And I also think Dr. Loomis is. I love Donald Pleasance in this one. Is fantastic. Some of his best work.
He gets progressively more unhinged with
Yeah.
each movie, and then especially part 5, where he's like, "You want the little girl? Take her." I'm just like, "Whoa, my guy!" I've heard a lot of people have a lot of backlash against Rob Zombie's Halloween 2 because they think that Loomis is so unlikable. I'm like, did you watch Halloween 5? He just hands her over. It's awful.
Uses her as bait. Yeah. To
Yes, because
lure
he is so,
Michael. Yeah.
it's like Friday, not Friday, Behind the Mask, which, not, it's a 2000s movie, but they call him the Ahab, the guy who hunts down the slasher killer, and obviously Loomis is the Ahab in this, and he is so obsessed with getting Michael. Like, he doesn't care what
Yeah.
happens to Jamie. He just wants to get Michael. And I wonder if it's because he has regrets, because in the past, he checks on Laurie Strode, and then Michael gets away. And at this point, I think he thinks maybe it's for the greater good to do whatever it takes to stop Michael Myers.
It's his responsibility that he feels it's his responsibility,
And that's what makes
even though technically
Halloween,
it's not his fault.
yeah, I think that's what makes Halloween really special, because even though I think a lot of us like Laurie Strode, I think it's this relationship between Michael and Loomis that is really compelling.
Yeah.
And unfortunately, we can't bring back Donald Pleasance. So they just keep bringing back Laurie Strode. But I feel like his character Loomis was so much more interesting than Laurie, and they try to make it more interesting by making them related. But I also think that was kind of a misstep.
I thought the connection with Michael and Jamie was something that was interesting too, because you saw when at the end there when she touches him, and then you see that apparently the evil is passed on to her. I thought that was something that was interesting.
So
Like,
yeah, I
and
love that ending. Where
yeah,
Loomis is freaking out. You see Jamie; she's cut her foster mother with the shears, and there was also that moment when he's dying and he touches her. So it's almost like he's passed something on to her, but they
yeah,
didn't have the guts to go through with it in part 5. Like, part 5 is such a disappointment. I've come around to it because I think now as an adult I view it as almost kind of like this weird giallo type movie. It has a lot of giallo sensibilities to it, like the way it's filmed, the music, a lot of that stuff is really beautiful. And I've come around to it, but I still am sad that I didn't get Jamie Lloyd as a killer.
yeah. That's true. A lot of people were. I actually love part 5. I know I'm in the minority of that, but
Let's
like you
talk about
said,
that.
I
Yeah.
love the Italian horror elements because the director was Italian.
You can see that in
And
the movie. You can see it.
I think there's a lot of great stuff in 5. I honestly do.
Break it
I
down
think
for us.
like there is like a they do continue that, psychic bond or connection with Michael, and I love that stuff. Like you said, when she catches up with him and he sheds a tear. He takes his mask off. That there is a connection there, and it's interesting.
I think
And
it is really compelling.
like you was saying, the connection between Loomis and Michael, I think there's some great scenes between him and Michael in five too. Like, when, Dr. Loomis is trying to reason with him, you have to stop the rage inside you, like I love
Sometimes I
that
feel like it's
scene,
almost like he's talking
Michael,
to
like,
himself.
yeah, yeah. Like Michael like thinks about it for like, you know, there is something there between them. He thinks about it for a second before he, stabs him.
But especially the way that Jamie can kind of see through Michael's point of view and she feels what he feels. That to me, now that I've seen a lot more movies, when I first saw this, I'd never seen any giallo movies. But now that I've seen a lot of Italian horror movies, I'm like, wow, that is definitely something right out of Italy. That's something that you
Oh
would
yeah.
see. Like it makes me think of things like, even like Deep Red and stuff. Like it really feels like it's part of this Italian horror world, which, like you said, it's because the director was Italian.
There's some gory, nasty kills in five too. Like we didn't
Yeah.
really see much of in four.
And see, that's the thing. Like a lot of these movies, even if you weren't invested in the characters, like I think there's the diehards like us, where we love these guys. It's like, oh, that's my boy Michael, that's my boy Freddie. Like we love them. But then there's the mainstream audiences where I don't know why they're watching it, but I imagine it's because they want to see the cool special effects, right?
Yeah.
It's a fun movie to go see with a bunch of friends. And unfortunately, when the MPAA gets involved and they start butchering these films and you no longer have that, then that takes away a big part of the appeal of these films.
Yeah. True.
And then I also think people became less impressed by the special effects as the 80s went on. I think at the beginning of the 80s, you see something like Friday the 13th or the Prowler, and there's that magic trick element to it where you're like, well, how the heck did they pull that off? Because we didn't have CGI or anything. But I think people, after they'd seen Nightmare on Elm Street and stuff, they're like not as
Yeah.
easily impressed by the magic trick of it. You know?
That's a good point.
Kind of a bummer.
Another thing I love about five too that I think people miss is he's driving again. I always thought that was something so cool about Michael. He drives.
Yeah.
He stalks his victims by driving. I
Are
love
you
that.
a fan of
And
Adam Green at all? Adam Green directed the Hatchet movies.
um, no, not really.
He has a company, Arioscope, and every year he releases like short little horror films. But he did do one where Michael Myers is taking driver's ed, which is kind of fun. So I
That's
always wonder,
funny.
like, how did he learn? And they mention that in the movies. They're like, well, he doesn't know how to drive. Well, he's like, well, someone must have given him lessons. My theory is it's the guy, the man in black, taught him. I can't remember his name right now, but you
Yeah,
know who I'm
yeah,
talking
could
about.
be. Yeah, that's a good point.
Because if we were going to get into the whole Cult of Thorn thing, obviously he has big plans for Michael and he needs Michael to be able to drive, to be able to
Hmm.
operate independently. So I think he taught him. That's
That's a great point. I like it.
my theory. Do you want to talk about some more underrated ones?
Yeah, definitely.
Because I know this is, where you really shine. So I know you've got some that they probably, people in the chat probably haven't heard of. Hey, our buddy Jen is in the
Well,
chat.
Nightmare,
Talk
night
about
or
Nightmare. That one, I
nightmares,
don't think I've seen Nightmare.
or nightmares in a damaged brain. Um, they actually used Tom Savini's name to promote the movie, even though he didn't actually do the effects for it. Like he just like showed up on set to like support them, but
So
when
it's like
they put his
mentoring.
name out there, he was pissed and he like went against the film. But I think if you like films like Maniac or even Silent Night, Deadly Night, where they get inside the head of the killer, the psychological aspects of it, I think you would like Nightmare. It's a lot like Maniac in that way. And the fact that it shows that seedy, sleazy underbelly of the city that Maniac does so well, that's 100% here in this film too as well. Like it's really skeezy and sleazy, like
That's a sleazy one.
um but it's very realistic. It's very effective, even though it's very grim and dark,
What's it
incredibly
about?
dark, and yeah. And it's got some nasty special effects too, and very realistic.
I haven't
And I
seen
think the
this
guy,
one. What's it about?
yeah. Well, there's the killer. We follow the killer around just like Maniac. You get inside his head, and he's a mental patient in a psychiatric hospital, and they've got this radical new drug apparently that's supposed to cure the criminally insane, and so they try it on him, and it seems to be working pretty well. He's kind of calmed down a little bit, but then they send him back out on the street. The psychotic maniac who has already murdered like several
They
people,
think they've cured him with a
and
drug and they just
they
release
think they
him. Like
cured him with
Clockwork Orange? That kind of thing?
a miracle drug, yeah.
Wow. And
And
it
it
doesn't work.
doesn't work.
Wow.
First chance he gets, he something triggers him again, and he hangs out at the sleazy underground peep shows and stuff, and it like triggers him, like the sleazy side of the city triggers him again, and he goes off on another killing spree, and the point is basically he's trying to get to his ex-wife, who lives in like Florida, so the whole movie's kind of going on the road and picking people off one by one on the way to try and get back to his wife and get to his kids, and
Oh, that's cool. I'll have to check
it's
this
pretty
out.
nasty. Yeah. And he
One.
also,
Go ahead.
I'm sorry. Also, as a little kid, he was traumatized. So what caused his whole madness is when he was a kid, he caught his father messing around with a prostitute, and it triggered him and really messed him up. And I won't spoil it too much for you. That's all I'm gonna say.
That kind of when you're talking about this one, it did remind me of made me think of another movie I really like. That's an 80s slasher called Blood Rage, which is only one of the only Thanksgiving slashers, guys. Like
Yeah, yeah,
before we had Thanksgiving. This one's also dealing with somebody who is sent away to a mental hospital for a really long time. So this one opens with these two twin boys and their mom's on a date, and this is really sleazy too. That's kind of what made me think of this one. And she's with a date, and the boys are supposed to just, I don't know, entertain themselves. And one of the boys commits murder and is sent away. But you find out that it's not the right boy because they're twins. So the one who's the
hmm
murderer, and this is part of the movie, like you're aware of who's who. The one who's the murderer is raised by the mom, and that's her favorite son, and she absolutely adores him. And then the one who was innocent has been in a mental hospital all this time, and then
yeah.
he comes back, and then the killings start up again. So you don't know, like, okay, has he like cracked, or is it the other guy? It's
hmm
really gory though, and I feel like the kills in this are really good.
Oh yeah, really good effects.
The iconic line, "That's not cranberry sauce." It's so
It's
good,
really
and Louise Lasser's in it. She's also in like Frankenhooker. She's so good in this. Like she's just losing it. There's one scene where she's just sitting in front of the fridge, just shoveling Thanksgiving leftovers into her mouth. But
that's hilarious.
it's sleazy. It's a little bit funny, but it's really good.
It's very funny to me. I think it's hilarious. I think what I love about it is that the killer is so nonchalant about it. Like he thinks nothing of killing people. It's just like eating turkey dinner or whatever. It's just
Yeah,
killing
he
somebody
has
means nothing to him.
no guilt or remorse or anything. He just doesn't want to get caught. He has no problem with his twin brother having served a sentence for him. Like he just doesn't care. It's
Yeah.
really he's fun. What's
He
another
reminds
one?
me of Patrick Bateman in a way.
That's a good point. He is a lot like Patrick Bateman. I know there was one that you had on your list that I really like. And I mentioned earlier that my son said that My Bloody Valentine's the most Scooby Doo one. No, my son is wrong. It's this movie. That is the most Scooby-Doo of all the slashers. Happy birthday to me. I love this movie. I have a whole in-depth review of this on my channel.
Great.
Yeah, I have that exact same one. That is the
Yeah.
best copy I think to get of it. I really like this movie, even though it has so many problems. Like the guy in the poster, he's not even in the movie. There is a shish
I
kebab
know it's
scene,
not even the.
but it's not that guy. And they also like there's a tagline. It has the wrong names in it. There's a lot wrong with this movie. So they got Melissa Sue Anderson in it, who she was a big deal at the time because she was on Little House on the Prairie, which was a huge
Hmm.
show. So she was this like sweet little girl in Little House on the Prairie, and now she's doing movies like I think it's Midnight Offering. She's in, and she's in this. And in this movie, it's her birthday, and a long time ago on her birthday, something really traumatic happened, and she has a psychologist who is he was the dad in Superman.
Yeah,
And he's
that's right.
trying to help her through it, but a whole bunch of people are dying, and she honestly she doesn't know if she's doing it or not. She thinks she might be because she's blacking out. Um, but you don't know. I kind of have to spoil the ending of this one though. Just to explain a mild spoiler. The reason why this is the most Scooby Doo of all that, I won't tell you who the killer is, but somebody actually pulls off a mask and unmasks themselves. It's so Scooby Doo, and I
Oh yeah, it
absolutely
is.
love it. This is also another trope in horror movies that you sometimes see. So sometimes they do the final girl gauntlet, where the bodies are hidden all over the place, and she kind of has to go to the closet, and then she goes over here. The other way they do it is in a movie like Happy Birthday to Me or Sleepaway Camp 2, where they're all at a table. That happens a lot too,
Mhm,
where
yeah,
everybody's at a table. But you like this movie too. Do you want to talk about it a little bit?
yeah, definitely. I think what's great about this one is the plot is a lot more complicated and complex than most slasher movies. I'm like, man, there's a lot of stuff going on in this movie, like the girl and her trauma and her accident and the brain injury and like so it's heavily alluded that she's the killer. You think it the whole
Yeah.
time, you're just waiting for her to reveal herself. It's also heavily influenced from Giallos, big
Yeah, even
time.
like the
Like you see
black
the black glove,
gloves.
yeah, you see the black glove killer. That opening scene when the girl's getting chased and is so out of an Italian Giallo, big time with the straight razor kill and like
Yeah.
and the emphasis on the razor and the oh man, so Giallo.
This one's a lot of fun. If you guys haven't seen it, you absolutely have to check it out. Let's see some more underrated ones that I want to mention. You mentioned Maniac earlier. Do you want to talk about Maniac?
Oh yeah, Maniac is my favorite. One shot slasher movie, that never had a
Mm-hmm.
sequel or anything, just like Bloody Valentine. And what I love about it is Joe Spinell's performance, for one, I think is great. Like he's so realistic, so believable. And, the film just really gets inside the head of the killer. You follow this guy around and you get to know why he's so messed up because obviously he has mommy issues. His mother was abusive and, kind of sleazy, kind of promiscuous, and that kind of messed him up. And they had a very tumultuous kind of relationship. And she's in his head. He's talking to himself and talking to her in his head, and it's just crazy. Um, but the funny thing is, he can also pretend to be completely normal. Because we see him outside. He's going on dates with this girl played by Carolyn Monroe, the photographer, and acting completely normal, and it's interesting.
He's so good, and that's one of
And
the things. Like I talk about this a lot on my channel, and you guys have probably heard this rant 1,000 times before. But I feel like in our modern day movies, there's this a lot of a small handful of actors get cast in everything, and they're these very beautiful, pretty people. But I miss having like the old character actors like Steve Buscemi and Joe Spinell, who I don't know if he would get these kind of roles today. Even in the remake, we get Elijah Wood, who doesn't
Yeah.
have that. Like, there's something about Joe Spinell, who he just looks like a real guy. He looks like somebody you'd
Yeah.
see walking around New York. You know,
Mhm.
he's gritty and you kind of wonder because he kind of looks creepy. You're like, oh well, that's not. It's the kind of person you'd be like, well, it's not fair to say he's creepy just because he's creepy looking, but he is. And then yet he's able to act like a totally normal person, and then you let your guard down. It's crazy how good he is in this movie. And when he
Yeah.
goes full crazy maniac, he goes full crazy maniac. And
Oh,
again,
yeah.
you got Tom Savini in this too with that amazing head explosion.
Oh.
It's so good. Someone gets shot in the head and their brain just goes.
There's some brutal stuff in this movie, yeah.
It's weird because
But
we have like the camp ones, Sleepaway Camp, Friday the 13th, and we have a lot of the small town ones. But then there's a whole other subgenre of like the inner city ones, like this.
yeah. And this movie does great with that, it really shows that skeezy, sleazy side of New York, especially at that time. Uh, Probably as good as Taxi Driver even, and which actually is in Taxi Driver, Joe Spinell. But, man, they really capture that greasy, grimy, sleazy side of New York City so well in this movie.
This is definitely, I mean, you
Um,
can even tell by the poster. This is one of the sleazier slashers that I can think
yeah,
of. But he does such a good job. And even though I love the remake with Elijah Wood, I feel like it's so much easier to be sympathetic to Elijah Wood with his big, beautiful blue eyes and everything.
yeah,
Whereas
that's
Joe
true.
Spinell, like, you watch this and you're like, why the heck is Carolyn Monroe going out with him? She was a freaking Bond girl.
I know,
Right?
right?
But
She's like a goddess, like, and this guy is like,
yeah,
he
but
looks like Mario.
yeah, he has a charm to him. And I think for me, being someone who's never lived in a big city, I grew up on an Air Force base and I've grown up in small towns, like there's something a little scary about the big city. And I think it's
Yeah,
really fascinating when it's used in movies like this because the city itself is really scary. How
yeah,
people can just get lost in there. And it seems almost like somebody could get killed in the city and nobody would even notice because there's so much
yeah.
going on.
And that's another thing about Maniac is I think it's very realistic and that makes it scary at times. And slashers don't get a lot of credit a lot for being scary, but there's some scary stuff in this movie.
The
Like the scene
mannequins.
where Yeah, like the scene where he's chasing the girl through the train station. I'm like, man, this could really happen, and I bet it has.
That's what's so scary about it because there's so many. Like on the one hand, you think you're safe because there's so many people around, but they're all focused on their own thing, and there's so many little nooks and crannies in the city, so many back alleys, so many subway tunnels where a person can disappear, and I feel like nobody would even
Yeah.
notice because there's so much going on.
And if you think about it, if it's like 4 o'clock in the morning or something, no one's around, this
Yeah,
could happen.
it's kind of almost makes me think of like Halloween, where I think one of the scariest parts of Halloween is where she's going door to door, banging on the door, and the people are closing their curtains. The fact that help could be right there, and they could
Yeah,
turn away from you. And I think in the city, that's something that would be really common: is you would cry for help and nobody would come. In fact, I've even heard that you should scream fire. That you're more likely to get someone to come to you if you're screaming fire than if you're screaming that you're being murdered.
yeah. Something like that actually happened in real life with this woman in New York. I think her name was Kay Genovese or something. She was in an apartment complex and this killer came to her and was killing her, raping her, killing her, and she was crying out, screaming out, and people heard it, and nobody did a damn thing about it.
Yeah, a lot of times I people just are more concerned for their own safety. I heard another one where it was on a subway train. Tons of people saw it. There was even video, and nobody did anything.
Yeah,
And I think
yeah,
that's what, for me, makes the city so scary. And for me, it's also just so foreign because I've never lived in a big city. So I'm already afraid of just the big cityness of it all, you
yeah,
know? So then you throw in a serial killer and whereas for me, like the forest, like I've grown up by a lot of forests. I'm like, oh, there's so many places to hide and stuff. And if you just go under that log there and you do what they did in Jurassic Park, you just stay really still, maybe you'll be okay. A lot of times I watch something like Friday the 13th and I think they have would have better luck if they just found someplace really quiet to hide and just sat there, just stayed there the whole
Yeah.
night. But something with Maniac, I don't know what I would do. It's just a
Plus,
whole other
when there's
world.
so many people, even when they're during the day, when there's so many people walking down the street, that someone can blend in. Anybody could blend in with all the tons of people walking down the street.
Yeah. Yeah, that's the other thing. Like in the forest, I mean, you don't necessarily know if it's an animal or a person, but you can pretty quickly figure out if where the killer is. Whereas in the city, they can blend in. They look just like everybody
Yeah.
else. So you're right. That's another part of it. We can't talk about Maniac without talking about one of the best St. Patrick's Day movies, Maniac Cop, or I think Maniac Cop 2 is the one that's St. Patrick's Day. I don't remember. Anyway, Maniac Cop. How do you feel about Maniac Cop?
I haven't seen it in so long. I don't really remember too much about it. Wasn't Bruce Campbell in it?
Yeah, Bruce Campbell's in, and he's in the
Yeah.
beginning of part 2.
Yeah. And I know the guy that plays the killer was,
He's
I've
got
seen
a
him in other movies.
condition that makes his jaw like really, really big. So he had the Maniac Cop. He's a cop who dies in the line of duty, and he comes back, and he's like a supernatural thing. Like his girlfriend brings him back, and now he's just going after everybody because he's been let down by the force or whatever. He was also kind of a dirty cop before too. So now it's like
Yeah.
that to an 11. But yeah, he just looks like this really big guy, and like I said, the actor had this like condition that made his face really like his jaw really big. So they didn't have to do a whole lot of makeup to make him just look really unnatural. But I think it's a good one. It's also pretty
Yeah, I have to
sleazy.
revisit that one. I haven't seen it in a long, long time.
It's Christmas time, and we were also talking about sleazy ones, and I think one of the sleaziest ones that I can think of is, I mean, if sleazy's your bag, guys, is Silent Night, Deadly Night.
I love the original Silent Night,
Yeah,
Deadly Night. I love it. Um, I love that. It's so sleazy, but um, again, the psychological aspect of it is really interesting. I think it's deeper than a lot of people give it credit for because of that. Like this kid never had a chance to be normal. No way he could have grown up normal. Like look what everything that happened to him. Like
yeah.
first his grandfathers tell him that Santa's gonna come and get you if you're not good all year. You better run for your lives.
That
Like
grandpa is so scary.
just that alone would mess any kid up. But then he sees his parents get killed, murdered right in front of him by a guy dressed like Santa Claus. Like Jesus Christ.
And it's sad because, like you said, the actor is so wholesome. You think this kid could have been a completely normal, upstanding member of society. And I think the part that really gets me every time is so Billy, he ends up getting a job at like this cute little store, and everyone's really sweet. He's kind of got a budding romance with one of the girls there. And you're like, this
Hmm.
kid's got a chance. He's going to be okay. And of course, then it's Christmas, and they put him in the freaking Santa suit, which is so triggering. And there's just no hope for him after that. We also got like Linnea Quigley in here in a small role, which is awesome. Did you read the book, The Final Girl Support Group by Grady Hendrix?
No, I haven't.
I think anyone who's a big fan of Silent Night, Deadly Night would really enjoy that. And I would love, I think they're making a TV show of it, but I would love a movie or something of it. But you essentially have these final girls, and there's like one that's clearly Sally from Texas Chainsaw Massacre. So she's this
Hmm.
well to do Southern gal. And you have one that's Nancy, and she's addicted to a lot of drugs. And she tries to suppress her dreams. And they don't really fully believe everything she says that happened to her. They think it's because she's done too many drugs. But she's clearly the Nancy. And one of their friends, who is basically Alice from Friday the 13th, has been murdered. And they think there's a killer who's going after all of them one by one. And your main character is this poor girl who she's just constantly in fight or flight. She has a plant. She doesn't make any connections. Every time she's anywhere on the street, she's thinking how she can get away, how she can fight back. And you're wondering, because all these characters are clearly somebody from a franchise, who is she? And minor spoiler, she's Linnea Quigley from Silent Night, Deadly Night. And they talk about how she was hanging
Oh,
there, but it didn't go through any major organs with the antlers through her. She was
oh,
hanging there for forever, and that's a big part of why she's so scarred. And then
hmm,
she like plays dead and stuff, but she survived. Um, but yeah, it's one of those things that makes me like this movie even more in a weird way.
sounds interesting.
It's really good, and if you are interested in it, the audiobook, it's The Final Girl Support Group by Grady Hendrix, and the audiobook is read by Adrienne King, which is kind of cool.
Oh,
Who's
nice.
Alice? But I love this one. Do you like the sequel
Yes, I love it.
with Eric
Despite the
Freeman?
fact that there's 40 minutes of footage from the original movie.
Honestly, when you marathon these, because I have like the set, you can honestly just skip the first one and just watch the second one if you're doing a marathon, because it shows so much footage from the first one.
I
But
know.
I love Eric Freeman. I love how he chews the scenery. We all love
Oh my
Garbage
god.
Day. I love that umbrella kill. Mwah, chef's kiss. Love it. So
I
good.
love I love when he talks. Every time he talks, he like moves his eyebrows around, like,
Red
like
car.
that's how he acts. Like that's his style of acting. I gotta move my eyebrows to make everything seem important.
I met him and he was really cool. He said he didn't do conventions for a long time because he thought people were just kind of making fun of him. And he's like, it's so cool to be here, and people actually like the movie and stuff. Right? And we're like, yeah, dude, you're among horror fans. We love that movie. We watch it all the time. So
I
he's
met
what
him
makes it
too.
fun. If he
Yeah,
just played it straight or even toned it down, I don't think it'd be nearly as fun.
but that's what makes it so much fun is that he's so over the top and ridiculous.
Have you seen part 3 with Bill Moseley? And he's got like the Mojo Jojo head where like you can
Yeah,
see his brain.
that is a weird one. Very weird.
So weird. There's some ridiculous. If you watch the Silent Night, Deadly Night franchise, it gets weird, guys. I don't know if they even all count as slashers. Uh,
Yeah, especially like the toy maker one.
it's
Like,
so
what is
weird.
that?
I think that one's like part 5. I think it comes after Invitation. I don't know. They get ridiculous, really
With Mickey
ridiculous.
Rooney, even though Mickey Rooney
Yes,
was one of the biggest people against the original
that's
when
so
it came out.
strange too, because I think a lot of people don't know that this movie, Silent Night, Deadly Night. I mean, I feel like it kind of deserves it because it is really sleazy. But it got picketed. People were so mad that Santa was going to be killing people. And then, it is. It's a movie I think that does make you really, really uncomfortable. Um,
Yeah,
I'm just surprised that like Christmas Evil didn't get this much hate because I think, Christmas Evil also had a killer Santa, and I think it came out before this.
true. That's true.
But it's not
But
as
this one
sleazy as
also
this.
has, yeah, but this one also has the religious aspects too. I forgot to mention that is when is he goes sent to an orphanage run by the Catholic nuns, and they're like drilling this stuff into his head, like if you do bad, you're gonna be punished. Yeah.
Yeah. Have you seen the remake yet?
No, I haven't seen it yet, but yeah, I've heard a lot of good things
Highly
about it. But
recommend it. It has
yeah,
homages to this movie, Part 2, Black Christmas. It has a lot of homages to other slasher films, which I think are really fun. It even has a lot of the same songs from this one, but it does its own thing. So that's all I'm going to say without spoiling anything. I think it does its own thing. You can enjoy them both as like separate movies, but it's also true enough to this one that it doesn't feel like a completely separate film like some of the Black Christmas remakes. So it's good.
I'm torn because sometimes I don't want to see a remake. I love a film so much that I don't want to see it get remade, and I don't want to contribute to it either. So,
Yeah.
but I've heard so many good things about it. I might check it out.
I feel like the Billy in the new one, he's different, just like how Ricky is different than Billy. But we love
Yeah.
Ricky. Like we're like, no, 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 you can hang, dude. You're cool. We love you, Ricky.
Mm.
I he fits in with them very well, and that he's a character that you root for. You're like, oh, this kid could have really had a chance. He seems like a good kid at the core of it, but obviously there's horrible things going on in his life, and this one it does something very different that sets it apart, but it still feels true to the franchise, so much more so than like Silent Night, Deadly Night 4 or 5. So I don't know. I think you'll like it, and it's brutal, and yeah, a little funny. What
Nice to
else?
see Rowan Campbell get a good role, after the
Yeah.
controversy of Halloween ends,
I like Halloween Ends, and I think it's unfair that he got so much hate for that because he is really talented, and I think he was perfect for Silent Night, Deadly Night because he's able to play wholesome and a little naive, but he can also play completely insane and brutal, and you need
Yeah,
that for this role.
nice.
I think he's awesome. I'm glad he got another shot, and hopefully this is one fans embrace more. So
Yeah.
I'm looking at my list. Oh, I had this one on the thumbnail, so we should probably talk about it. Another Canadian one, Curtains. Curtains is crazy because Curtains has some really good kills. It's got a really good
Yeah.
mask. The problem with Curtains is it's just really, really slow. And it has a
Yeah.
weird title. It's called Curtains because it's about a bunch of actors, and
Hmm.
the people in this actors group are getting killed off one by one. But you've got like the doll that's a little deep red like. You've got this crazy hag mask. But that freaking ice skating scene, it's so good. And then the head
That's
in the
classic. Yeah.
toilet. There's some beautiful sequences in this. So
Yeah.
I also feel
I
like
love.
when oh go ahead.
No, I was just gonna say I love the setup too. It's interesting. Like this woman who's an actor, and then the guys. She's a method actor, so much so that she gets herself committed to a mental institution just to study the mentally insane for this role. And then the fact that the guy's just kind of setting her up because he wants to get a younger talent to play the woman in this role. He's just kind of throwing her in there, and when
It's
he
a good
really
who
wants
done
the
it
young
too.
actress to play the role.
Yeah, it's got elements like that we saw later on in like Black Swan, where she's being replaced by a younger actress, and so she's got a lot
Yes,
of anger. But yeah, as a who done it, I think this one has a fun twist at the end that I don't think a lot of people would see coming. Without
definitely.
spoiling it for you guys, it's a really fun one. They just did this one on Joe Bob, so and I really
Oh yeah.
like Lynn Griffin. She's only in this and Black Christmas, but she's so good in this. I wish she had done more stuff. I think, yeah, she was in Thanksgiving too. I think she's the grandma in that, but she hasn't done much, which is a
Yeah.
bummer because she's really good. Oh, I know of another deep cut one. Unless you have one you want to throw out there.
No, go ahead. I will, but I'll wait till after.
Uh, what are your thoughts on Intruder?
Good one. Good one.
It's so brutal, and it's got Sam Raimi in it. I mean, he didn't direct it, but him and his brother Ted Raimi are both in it. You got Bruce Campbell in it, and it's like this grocery store. There's not enough movies set in grocery stores, guys. It's like this grocery store right before they're gonna be closing or whatever, but it's after hours, and so there's all these little nooks and crannies, and they utilize everything in there, like the thing that slices the meat and stuff. Really cool.
They definitely utilize the grocery store setting really good. That's
Yeah.
what makes it. That's what makes the movie.
Like how it's so creepy when you open up the thing, the freezers that have the milk, but there's a whole room back there. It utilized the location perfectly.
Yeah, definitely.
Hey, Phantom Video 78, how you doing? And Patrick's here.
Hey, what's
We're
up, man?
talking about 80s slashers, guys. Right now we're going through some deep cuts. Intruders one that I really like. I know Dan's a big fan of this one too. Um, yeah.
Definitely.
So some more underrated ones or deep cuts.
Yeah, I got a good deep cut for you.
Hit me.
Stage fright.
That's so crazy because that's on my list too. This movie is
Yeah,
so good. Tell them
yeah,
about stage fright. This one gets overlooked all the time, and it's kind of hard to find because sometimes I feel like it's also called delirium.
yeah.
It's
True.
hard to find, and there's like two other movies called Stage Fright. One of them's supposed to be a remake of this, but it's nothing like this movie. It's ridiculous. But this movie, it's also called Aquarius sometimes too.
Hmm. Another one where that's very that you could almost say that it's a giallo too. It
I
walks the
agree.
line because of the atmosphere and the style of it. very much of the.
It's also directed by Michelle Suave. I don't know if that's how you pronounce his name, but he is the main guy. Well, not the main guy. The first guy in the movie Demons who gives her the ticket, and he
Hmm.
worked with Argento on a lot of his films. So I think it is in some ways a giallo.
And that shows definitely. He's a protege of Argento,
Yeah,
so.
he's also in like opera and a whole bunch of other stuff. Like it's crazy.
Hmm.
But yeah, tell them about this one in case they haven't heard of it because it's so good. It's so beautiful too. Like it's shot so. That's what the Italians do so well. It's just they make it so beautiful, and they always get the best music. And this movie has that. It has the amazing music. It's shot phenomenally. It's got a unique looking killer. So good.
Yeah, giant owl head. Whatever. It's
Yeah.
crazy. But it has a similar setup as Curtains, actually, with the they're in a play, these actors, and and then there's this guy that gets committed, and he was one of the actors, and it's a mystery. Is he the killer? Did he escape to try and kill off the rest of the cast? And and that's the thing. All the actors are getting picked off one by one. They're locked in the hall there.
Yeah, they're locked in that theater, and I feel like they use the space really well in this too, because there's upper rafter areas, there's all this crazy stuff, like places where they go in this one building, and it's just there's a lot that goes on in this movie. It's so good.
And also awesome kills.
Yeah, really good.
Sure.
Another one you mentioned that's this movie is so crazy. I've tried telling my son about this. I mean, he needs to watch this. Phenomena, which is also called Creepers. A lot of these Italian ones have like a billion names. This one is Argento. I have tried explaining this movie to people. This movie is insane. You would think it wouldn't work because they throw everything into the pot. It's like the goulash of movies. So here's the thing: you've got a serial killer who's killing people in brutal ways. This movie also has an
Hmm.
awesome metal soundtrack. It's like super metal.
Oh yeah.
And you've got Donald Pleasance, who's a scientist and he works with apes. And he
Hmm.
befriends this young girl who's Jennifer Connelly, back when kind of close to when she did Labyrinth. And she goes to an all girls school. And if you didn't need anything else, then she also has the power to control bugs, like any bugs. It's insane, but it's so good and it's so beautiful.
Talk about supernatural slasher. This is definitely big time.
Yeah, Patrick, they did remake Stage Fright, but honestly, it's not a remake. The remake is set at a musical camp. The Keller looks completely different. He looks almost like kind of like a kabuki type style makeup, and it's all musical. Honestly, I don't count it as a remake. It's nothing like it at all. But I mean, I like it. It's just it's not like the original. That makes sense.
Yeah, true.
But Phenomena, dude,
Dude.
freaking Phenomena. And then you've got crazy monstrous creatures. It
Oh
has
yeah.
it all,
The
and it's
little
a
kid.
Xanax.
that little kid is freaky.
Yeah, this movie's wild.
It's whacked. It's crazy.
It's a really good time. It's so weird, but it's a good time.
I love that scene when she's like, "I love you all," and then all the bugs are covering the the,
Yeah,
ha-
and then she's
the
passed
school.
out.
Her hair is blowing in the wind, and it's just a
It
really cool
feels like a
scene.
dream. The whole thing. It's
Yeah,
very dreamlike. But then it's got metal music. It's crazy. This
but
movie
it's
has
got all
everything.
the classic Giallo stuff in there too, with the kills and the glass shattering. You always got to have glass shattering in an Argento movie.
And I just love that she loves bugs because you just don't
Hmm.
see that enough. Like my dear Pipkin right here. I love a girl who loves bugs. So I know Pipkin, you're not a bug, but whatever.
You also
Um,
have a monkey slasher with the straight razor.
yes,
Uh,
that kind of reminded me of the movie Link. You ever see that one? It's almost like a slasher with
yeah, yeah.
an ape. So any foreign slasher you guys have watched and seen? Well, this is foreign. This is Italian.
Yeah.
What are some more foreign slash? Actually, here's one. This one's really, really unique. This is a deep cut because it's the only slasher from this country. So in China,
Hmm.
they're very weird when it comes to a lot of horror movies. There's a lot of restrictions on what they are and are not allowed to do. So this movie came out in 1981. It's pretty much the only Chinese slasher movie. It's really hard to find, but you can get it on DVD. This one is really disturbing. So you've got the guy, you can see him there. It has a lot of giallo type elements. I know this is a Chinese movie, but it does remind me in that the guy's face is covered up, and so he takes his victims and he keeps them in this place where they're just covered in just bugs and they're slowly rotting away. It's really, really disturbing. And he like lays with them and stuff and like cuddles up on them. It's a bit of a who done it. It's really disturbing. It kind of reminds me of, like I said, a lot of giallos because his face is covered up and such. But mostly this is really cool just because just how strange it is to have one that is just right out of China because it's the Shaw brothers produced it. So if you guys are familiar with the Shaw brothers,
Oh, really?
it's
Wow.
in line with them. But yeah, there are horror movies and stuff from Hong Kong, but that's Hong Kong was like its own country for a while there because it was under the Republic of the United Kingdom, whereas China has a lot of rules about horror movies, and generally it's really hard to get anything past their censors. So this is a rare little gem that if you can find it on DVD, I think is worth checking out. I don't think a lot of people have seen this one, but it's really disturbing and creepy.
I have not seen that, no. That's a
Yeah.
deep one.
And yeah, the people he's killing, it's almost kind of Jack the Ripperish too, because he's going after prostitutes, after like sex workers,
Yeah.
and um, the way that people don't seem to care because of who the victims are, it kind of plays into it too. How he's able to get away with so much stuff. But so yeah, it kind of reminds me a little of Jack the Ripper. It reminds me of a lot of giallos, but yeah, it's a deep cut, but a really good one to check out.
Nice. I'll have to check that out. I got another deep cut for you from the son of Mario Bava, Lamberto Bava, did
Yes,
several Jallos on his own. And this is one you don't hear about too often, but it's a wild one. Delirium.
Delirium. Tell us about
Yeah.
Delirium.
Uh, so it's very, very sleazy. um, but at the same time, it's also very, very stylish. It's not that one that you.
Yeah, I'm trying to find the right one.
Yeah.
I'm
It's
just
the
gonna
one
look
by
up
directed by
Umberto
Lamberto
because there's a
Bava.
billion. That's the trouble with some of these movies. I think having a title that doesn't stand out, something like Curtains, hurts it. I'm just
Yeah.
gonna look up Lamberto because I know he did Demons. So
Right.
Delirium. Here we go. Here we go.
There you go. Yeah. Really wild. It's got some great style to it as well as being super sleazy. And it also takes elements from Psycho, believe it or not.
Yeah,
Heavily, heavily. Um, and
that poster is so cool.
it's got that Dario Argento style and Mario Bava style to it. But it's about this woman who's an actress in kind of softcore films, and she works for. She's also a model for like a porno magazine, basically. So that's where the sleaze factor comes in. But
That poster is
and
amazing.
there's this person that's obsessed with her and is extremely obsessed with her and posting pictures of her everywhere. And every time he kills someone, he posts her picture up on the wall, and it's crazy. And every time he kills someone, he pictures her and pictures her as some kind of monster or something. That's where you get these weird images like the lady there with the
Oh, I
eyeball.
was
Like every
wondering how
time
that comes into play.
yeah,
I think we
he's
have this on
so
DVD, and
twisted.
the cover has an eyeball on it.
Yeah. He's so twisted that he sees everyone as like these monsters, and then you see the visions of it. It's super weird and
Yeah,
freaky, but
it's like a
it's
trip.
awesome. There's some awesome kills and super sleazy. Lots of TNA. So if you love that, then you'll love this.
Oh, wow. Yeah, this is a good one. Yeah, Fiore, there are a lot from Hong Kong. Hong Kong has a different government than China. They are two separate things. Officially, I don't think they are anymore, but for the longest time, Hong Kong was run by the United Kingdom. So the laws in Hong Kong are different than the laws in China. So there are a lot of Hong Kong movies. Like you mentioned, Dreamhouse, that's a fantastic Hong Kong slasher. But when it comes to China, the only one I know of is Corpse Mania. But if you can find
Hmm.
another one, that'd be cool. From 1981. Dude, I'm so proud to be born in 1981. I swear, like, the best horror movies came out in 1981. Like The Evil
Oh my
Dead,
god, yeah.
Halloween 2, Friday the 13th Part 2, The Howling, Happy Birthday to Me. Like, all the birthday
Hmm.
ones came out too. Bloody Birthday. Bloody Birthday's a weird slasher. Like, with
Oh
kids as the
yeah, that's
killers.
crazy.
Bloody. Okay, I'll talk about Bloody Birthday a little bit. I think I'm gonna do this one for my birthday this year. I did Happy Birthday to Me on my birthday once, but Bloody Birthday is weird. So you have these kids, and they're all born, I think, on like the full moon or something. They're born in some weird moon thing,
Hmm.
but it just means that these kids are born evil. Like, that's just it. And so if you want to get into like a debate of nature versus nurture, this is all nature. They are born evil. There is nothing you can do about it. And they're like this little cult of kids who kill people, and they get away with it largely because they are children. But they're
Yeah.
brutal. They're as brutal as any of the adults. They're really scary.
Yeah. That's a wild one for sure.
Yeah. Um ridiculous one. Have you ever seen Rocktober Blood?
I haven't. I've heard of it, but I haven't seen that one.
It's kind of like a so bad it's good one. The poster's not gonna even pop up
That's like a
anymore.
Halloween kind of one, isn't it?
Yeah, it's a supernatural killer. So he's the lead singer of a band, and then he gets killed, and then he comes back because he's obsessed with this one girl. But it does have a really good soundtrack, and the poster isn't popping up for this one. But anyway, see if I can fix it. No. I know that one's a fun one. That's like kind of in the so bad it's good realm. Did you have another one you wanted to talk about? Oh, I have one I really want to talk about. I can't believe I haven't mentioned it so far because it's like one of my absolute favorites. And we were talking about really messed up ones.
Shocker.
Shocker! Shocker! I love Shocker so
Wes,
much. This is
another
an
Wes Craven.
underrated Wes Craven, and it's got Mitch Pileggi from the the X Files in it. I saw a guy who was cosplaying as the guy from Shocker at Horace Plinker at a convention. I had to take his picture. This movie is crazy. So
Yeah,
this is
it
another one of
is.
those killers where he gives zero shits. He just murders people. He does not care. He has no remorse or anything. And then they go to give him the electric chair, and it gives him this ability where he can kind of transfer into electricity, but he can also possess people's bodies. So at one point, he's like in a little girl's body. And this one kid, Horace, killed his girlfriend. And so she's coming to him from beyond the grave in like visions, trying to help him stop Horace. And he wants to stop Horace because he killed his girlfriend. But it gets wild. So Horace can jump from body to body, kind of like in Fallen, right?
Hmm.
But at one point, he goes inside the TV. And the kid's in the TV too. It's insane.
I know.
So good. You're wrong, Patrick. It's not dated. It's so good. Shocker.
A lot of like Freddy elements to the killer, I think.
Yes. I think there absolutely are. Let's see.
And that's no accident, I'm sure.
Another one is Trick or Treat. So not the one with Sam, but Trick or Treat, which it's kind of like the Rocktober Blood one I mentioned. This one,
Yeah.
Sammy Kerr is a rocker, and if you play the record backwards, I think it brings him back. So it's another supernatural killer one, but I do think this one's pretty underrated. I think this is a good one. It also has a small appearance by Ozzy Osbourne in it, and Gene
And Gene
Simmons.
Simmons,
Yeah.
right?
Ozzy Osbourne is like part of this like religious network, so it's really weird. Such an odd role. But if you guys like your supernatural slashers, Shocker and Trick or Treat are two that I don't think enough people have seen that are really
Yeah, definitely. Good fun Halloween themed
good. Yeah.
slasher too.
We have some Trick or Treat movie hot sauce. It's Sammy Curry hot sauce. They released a whole bunch of themed ones that are kind of fun. I'm going through my list here. Are there any on your list that we haven't talked about?
Yeah. Another thing that's popular in the slasher is the sorority house
Oh my
slasher.
gosh, you're right. Yes.
So one of the best I think is House on Sorority Road.
Yes.
Um Another one that surprised me because in every way it seemed like the typical slasher, just killing off these girls at the sorority house, sleazy, but it's actually pretty deep, like with the mystery element, and the whole setup of it is really interesting.
I
Yeah,
actually
very
haven't
well
seen this
done.
one. I've only seen the remake. I need to watch the original.
Oh, really? Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh, you gotta check it out. It's very good. It's surprisingly compelling
Yeah?
for a slasher movie.
This came out in 82, huh?
Mm.
Very cool. Yeah, I gotta check this out. I've
And there's
seen
some
Sorority Row, the remake, but not this
yeah.
one.
Check it out. Check it out.
And I know that one was kind of like a murder mystery too. That one kind of reminded me a little bit of like I Know What You Did Last Summer, but it's hard to tell with remakes like how close it is to the other one. So I gotta check it
Mm.
out.
And
Um,
the ending is great too. Is one of the best. Like it really, really grabs you. And
see, that's the
it's shocking.
a lot of these slashers have these great endings that I think make them like I mean Friday the 13th to this day like that still gets me when Jason pops out of the water cuz it's so
Oh,
serene
that's one
and
of the greatest
quiet.
scenes in horror history, in my opinion.
It's amazing and I know they were just ripping off Carrie but it works so well cuz it takes so long for it to happen and when it finally does I jump every time. It's so good. Like a great ending can make an otherwise mediocre slasher film iconic.
I love the music, like it's so beautiful, and then she thinks it's all over, everything's great. I made it through, and then
Yeah.
Do you feel? Let me ask you this: do you think they spoiled it with that ending? What happens afterwards when you see Alice in the hospital, and oh, yeah, we didn't find any boy. It leaves it open like it might not have happened.
I feel like okay, if you want to get really into this, so I'll pull up Friday the 13th here. I have a whole theory on this. I actually think that Alice, I do think she saw something, you know? I don't think it was all in her head because there are obviously supernatural elements to this franchise because eventually it becomes full on supernatural. But I do think in the water she saw Jason, but I don't think it was like a physical thing. So my theory on Friday the 13th is that Jason didn't drown. That's my theory.
Hmm.
So I think when he's bullied by the kids and he drowns, I mean I can't tell you what happened to his body or anything, but I just don't think he drowned. And then his mom, she hears Jason all the time, kill him, mommy, kill him. She's
Hmm.
lost it. And I think she has so much guilt and also anger at the camp that when Jason does come home and he wants like food and to be parented, I don't think she accepts that he's still alive.
Hmm.
I think she thinks that's in her head. And she's like, no, no, don't worry. I'm going to go kill them all for you. And he's like, I want a sandwich. Right. But she's not seeing that. And he also doesn't speak really either. So he's not able to tell her what he needs. And she thinks she's seeing the ghost of her dead son. So then she goes out and then she kills everybody. And he does see his mom get killed by Alice. And I do think that messes him up. So I'm not entirely sure how he grows so quickly. That's the part I'm a little like, I'm not sure if that works in the whole theory. But I do like how in the remake they explain that that's why he's such a good hunter because he's had to take care of
Hmm.
himself by killing
Right.
animals and stuff. And I think he would have to do that. So I'm not sure how the timeline adds up, but I think it actually could work because the camp was shut down when Mrs. Voorhees, like I don't know, like 8 years previous, if he was already like 8 years old, then he'd be
Mhm.
at least 16 when we get to the first Friday the 13th movie, and he'd still see his mom die, and then we still have like another year before he comes back again. So yeah, I think it could work.
Yeah.
That's what I think happened.
Interesting theory. I like it.
I don't think he actually becomes supernatural until after Tommy kills him in part four.
Oh.
But I think that makes a lot of sense because, I mean, I don't think Mrs. Voorhees can be relied upon to give us an accurate depiction of events. And I just think,
Probably not.
yeah. And we
Mm.
talked about Slumber Party Massacre before too. That's one that I think it's kind of sad what happened to it because Slumber Party Massacre was meant to be kind of a tongue-in-cheek, almost like a parody of the slasher movie. That's why it
Yeah.
has the drill. And Roger Cohen, because this was through his company,
Yep.
he made a point of he got the script that was written by a woman, and he made a point to have all Slumber Party Massacre movies directed by women too. So they're all written and directed by women. Well before that became a norm, I mean, honestly, it's not even a norm now. It's not even something that we see that commonly now, which is kind of sad. But this whole entire franchise has been written and directed by women. The problem with this is the first movie, I don't think they fully were able to make it clear that they're having fun with it. There are parts that I think
Yeah.
are clear, like when the body's in the refrigerator or when the
Mhm.
drill gets cut off. And then I think with the second movie, they go a little too over the top with the comedy. But I
Yeah.
do think it's a lot of fun, and I actually think the remake of this one's really good.
I've heard that. I haven't seen it yet.
I think the remake does a good job on also playing with the slasher movie tropes. One thing I like about it is like there's a guy in a shower. We don't have enough men in gratuitous shower scenes where they're
Yeah.
objectified, like do it, We need more
Give
of
you
that.
equal opportunity.
Yeah, I don't think we should take away the female sleaze. Who doesn't like to see some boobs in a movie? I remember being a little kid, and my brothers and I saw Species, and we saw Natasha Henstridge boobs, and we were like, "Heck yeah, we saw boobs!" We were so proud of ourselves, like we grew up that day. I don't want to take that away from anybody, but maybe have some guys taking lingering showers and such. I just saw the Running Man where what's his butt is running around naked with a towel on for like an hour. Yeah, more of that, people. That's what we need.
Right. Now, what do you think about how, at the time with the film critics, they would say about slasher movies that they're just misogynistic against women and stuff, and then here you have this one which was directed by a woman.
I mean, I agree with Carol Clover because she heard a lot of that response that they were very misogynistic, that it was men who were watching these movies and they just want to see women get tortured. And I don't think that's the case. I think a lot of people watching these movies do empathize with the final girl. I think it shows.
Yeah.
I mean, especially when you look at a lot of the sub communities that are really attracted to horror movies because, horror movies really celebrate the misfits and the outsiders and stuff. So I've heard a lot of like gay men say, I was really invested in the final girls and stuff. So they're obviously not just celebrating girls getting killed. As a kid, I connected to the final girls. And I know a lot of men who connected to the final girls. It's fun to see the kills, but it's not something that you're vicariously living through. It's just, it's a fun special effects thing. And in this one, I think I see the humor in it now, and I think it is a lot of fun. And I think it subverts a lot of what we saw in slasher films by making it so on the nose with the drill. I just don't think
Hmm.
the genre was quite ready for essentially meta comedy yet. We weren't quite at
Yeah, it's
Scream
true.
because even there's another one, Student Bodies, that also tried to do that, and it
Yeah,
didn't
I
do
remember
very
that.
well. I don't know. Maybe it was just the execution, but I feel like these scripts, they're written to be really funny, and then I don't know if it's a miscommunication with the production company or the director, but it just didn't quite come off well, you
Yeah,
know?
true.
but it is there if you watch the movie. I think it is really funny, but it's one of those things like when you watch Texas Chainsaw Massacre, you may not get the humor the first time through, but
Hmm.
I do love it. I also love that a lot of the roles that are traditionally male, like uh the woman in the big truck at the beginning who's like fixing everything, like that's a woman. That's not a guy.
Hmm.
So yeah, it subverts a lot of expectations, and I think it makes it interesting. And like I said, I love that the whole franchise is written and directed by women.
Yeah.
And I think that's the other thing too. So Carol Clover, when she did her research, the common belief was that only men saw these movies, which is not true, and that women were put off by gore. But I mean, these movies are proof positive that women love slashers just as much as men do. These
Like
came,
you.
yes, these came from the minds of women. One slasher movie I really love, it's not 80s, so we won't talk about it in too much detail, but The Final Girls is really, really good. And when they try to make that movie, the production company, because the main relationship in that is a mother and a daughter, they said you need to make it a romantic relationship between a man and a woman because
Hmm.
no guy gives a crap about a girl and her mom. And they were like, well, that's not true. And that's really underselling men. And they said, okay, fine, keep your mother daughter thing, but then you need to cut out all the nudity and all the blood because women don't like that. So it just shows like how the studios, the money people, don't necessarily understand the horror audience.
Yeah, true.
And I think that's what happened with Slumber Party Massacre. I think somebody meddled in there somewhere and they're like, nah, we need to make this more, because it feels like the audience for this is men. I think there might have been a miscommunication in there somewhere. So I'm glad they finally remade it because I think the remake does a really good job of achieving what they set out for,
Yeah, definitely.
having fun with it. So, if that makes any sense, I feel like I rambled just a whole bunch just
Really made sense.
then. Before we wrap it up, are there any other ones? Another one I like, I don't want to go into, is I like the Stepfather movies.
Oh yeah, that's a good one.
My son loves the Stepfather movies. I'm looking at my list. I think I have.
Well, yeah, I think one we have to mention is Sleepaway Camp.
Yeah, I actually was
So-
looking. That's on my list too. I love Sleepaway Camp.
Me
That's
too.
one I didn't see until Robot Chicken made a joke about it. So
Really?
there's a Robot Chicken episode, and they basically show the ending of Sleepaway Camp. They're like, that's a deep cut to a movie that nobody's ever seen. And so then I had to look it up and see what the movie was and saw. And this is one where the ending is iconic.
Oh yeah.
It's so good. I think everyone knows the ending now, but when I first saw this, like I had no idea what I was
Yeah.
getting into. And Felissa Rose, I've met her many times. She loves horror fans so much, and she's so proud of this franchise. But Sleepaway Camp, it's also really good because the kids in it actually look like kids.
They're actually kids, yeah.
Yeah.
It's like,
So it's a sleepaway camp. It's a camp for children. And this girl, Angela, she has survived a boating accident that killed her father and her brother. She's been sent to go live with her really weird aunt, who I love that actress so much.
Aunt Martha, oh my god.
Aunt Martha, yes, and her cousin. And they go to this camp where she gets bullied, and everybody who bullies Angela dies in a horrible way. And so the leading suspect is that it's her cousin, but you don't know until the end.
Hmm.
This movie's so sleazy too. It's so gross.
That's the funny thing is, like, on the surface, it's really goofy and silly, but there's like an underbelly to it that's pretty deep and interesting about
Yeah.
the killer, or who. And it's a great mystery too. You don't really know quite who it is. You suspect that it's, different people, but
I think this one we should go ahead and spoil just so we can talk about it a little bit better. So at the end of it, you find out that it was not Angela, but Peter, who survived the boating accident. And when Peter
right.
was sent to go live with Aunt Martha, she's like, well, we already have a boy. That just won't do. You're Angela.
Yeah.
You're going to be my perfect little angel, which is really disturbing. So she
Yeah.
forces Peter to dress and behave like a girl, calls her Angela, which is really messed up. So I've heard two different takes on this. Heard people say that this is really, damaging to gender identity and stuff. But I think it's really interesting because it's not like Dress to Kill or even
Right.
Silence of the Lambs or Psycho. It's not Peter's choice to
Right.
be to go through this, and so it's a form of abuse. And Peter, I think, just kind of cracks at
Yep.
the sleepaway camp.
Mhm.
So I don't see this as another movie that says, okay, essentially trans people are mentally unwell and are dangerous, which is what we get in Dress to Kill. I think this is
Yeah.
so much more complicated. And then there's that really interesting scene where you see Peter and Angela and they're looking at their dad, which that's ahead of its time too. Dad has a
Right.
boyfriend
Right.
and they see dad and his boyfriend being intimate together and they're kind of whispering and then it goes in uh the camera pans around and the director said the
Yeah.
idea is that it's affecting their idea of gender identity because they are typically think of it as like with same-sex couples like their mom or dad or whatever, and here's dad with a guy, which is different than anything they've seen before. And then you see Peter and Angela like touching each other and they're like trying to determine like who they are in relation to one another. So
Yeah.
it's easy to write it off as schlock. It's easy to write it off as just another one of those movies that demonizes trans people. But I think there's a lot of interesting stuff in here that is more akin, in my opinion, to something like Seed of Chucky in the way that it explores gender identity. It's a lot more
Mhm.
complicated. I don't know.
Yeah.
What do you think?
I completely agree, yeah. But it's easy cut to kind of miss it or to dismiss it because the movie is so, like, goofy at times and the acting
Yeah.
is really cheesy and campy and
I,
funny at times.
and I've had trans friends say that they actually love this movie. I have friends who don't like it, but I have friends who do like it, and they say it's because they relate to Peter in that Peter is forced into an identity that isn't honest to them, and it damages Peter, just like a lot of trans people are raised a certain way into a gender identity that's not natural to them, and how that puts a lot of pressure on them, and it is psychologically damaging. You know,
Mhm. And
like an
I
extreme.
can relate to the movie in a very simple way because I was like that as a kid. I was the shy, quiet kid that sat in the back of the class, kind of the misfit that, you know, and I can relate to that character a lot because that's how she is. She just staying away, staying in the back and staying quiet, doesn't say much, and she gets picked on by Judy, of course, and Meg, and they're brutal. They're bullies.
Yeah, a lot of people don't know
And
why
that's an interest.
Angela kills the kids, but the kids kicked dirt at her when she was already being bullied. And I think that's
I
what this
know.
movie is. It's just Angela. I'm just going to call him Angela because that's what the movie calls him. But just from every angle, first witnessing the death of her best friend, who's her brother, and her father, and then being raised by a crazy person. Her only friend is her cousin, and then she goes to this camp, and everybody is mean to her. Like you could only
Hmm.
handle so much, and then on top of that, the very confusing introduction of this potential boyfriend. Like that's the
Yeah.
absolute last thing this character needed. So you can see why they snap. And then I actually like how I think the sequels are a lot of fun, but the sequels I think are more in line of what people think Sleepaway Camp is. They're just
Yeah.
campy. They're just silly. You got Pamela Springsteen just really hamming it up. So I think they're a lot of fun too. Just don't watch Return to Sleepaway Camp. That's got to be one of the worst movies I've ever seen.
Oh yeah.
Hey, you seen that one? The kid with
We
the
don't talk about
frogs.
that.
That kid's awful. And they're remaking this too, but
I heard that.
I have my reservations because
Yeah.
Robert Hiltzik, who made this one, he also did Return to Sleepaway Camp, and I think
Yeah.
that's terrible. Just because the character who's supposed to be the protagonist is so unlikable,
Right.
and he's doing the remake, so I don't know if I trust him. But he
Yeah.
is
It's hard to
supposedly
trust him
bringing,
after that.
Yeah, he's bringing Felissa Rose back. I wish Return to Sleepaway Camp just, instead of doing a whodunit, just said, no, Angela's back. But now we have Felissa Rose playing her in a different direct sequel to the original, where it's
Hmm.
Angela as an adult. I think they could have gotten rid of the whole whodunit thing and had her working there and had somebody write it to where the kid who's being bullied is actually sympathetic and
Yeah.
Angela is triggered by it because of how she was bullied. And then you'd wonder, like, okay, is it the kid or is it Angela? Because we know Angela has a history. But I think it could have been really fun.
I think people's biggest complaint is the kid is so annoying and unlikable that nobody wants to
Yeah.
deal with.
So I saw his interviews and he was basically saying that he based it on a real kid, which again, just because something's real doesn't mean that it works in a movie because movies,
Yeah.
it just doesn't work that way. And yes, a lot of bullies are bullied themselves, but this kid is just awful. He is so awful in every way imaginable. Like you don't sympathize with him at all. Even the kid who
No.
played him, the actor, said that he absolutely hated it. So, but Dr. Wolfield, I just did a review of that one that I thought was really good. But yeah, Sleepaway Camp is fantastic. I love it. It's so iconic. So many great lines like "eat shit and live." I just love it. I love it so much. I love how the kids are like just mouthy little fuckers. So
I
great movie.
I love the fact that that scene goes on for like 20 minutes of them just playing baseball.
Yes.
But
And the
it's
kids
funny.
feel real too. Like a lot of
Yeah.
the kids I knew were mouthy little fuckers. So I liked it. All right, before we wrap up, are there any other movies that I've missed or that are on your list that you wanted to talk about?
I think we did a pretty good job of I mean, you could talk about what do you mentioned the sequels. So what are your thoughts on Sleepaway Camp 2, Unhappy Campers?
I like Sleepaway Camp too. I think that one's good because you have kind of what we were saying before. There is a girl there who's really quiet and stuff, and I think Angela kind of is drawn to her, because she's exactly who she wants the perfect little camper to be, I guess.
Yeah.
Not the girl in the poster, but I like it. I think it's a lot of fun. I'm not as big into the third one. The third one's a little too sleazy for me, but it does have some great kills like that outhouse kill. I don't know.
Yeah.
What are your
That's
thoughts?
a great one. I loved it.
Yeah,
I think it's hilarious. I think the fact that it just goes full camp and full over the top, the humor is 100% intentional,
I love
and they
Pam
just have a
Wilson.
lot of fun with it. Maybe they don't get into the elements like the first movie did as much, which may hurt it a bit, but I just like Pamela Springsteen's take on the character is something different. And she's punishing all the campers for doing bad things and being naughty and taking
Honestly,
drugs and being promiscuous.
the way you phrase it makes me think that she's basically Billy, but a girl.
Yeah, yeah,
Right?
exactly.
They have
Exactly.
a lot in common. I ship them now. I think they
Yeah.
have a lot. And we don't have that many female slasher killers, and certainly not any that I think a lot of times when we have a female slasher killer, it's revealed at the very end. Something like Curtains, or
Yeah.
Friday the 13th. And what's different about Angela in Sleepaway Camp 2 and 3, like we know full well it's her. She actually became an icon in her own right.
Yeah. And this version of Angela doesn't give a crap, like she kills people just as easy as breathing. It's just a different take. She's so over the top. She's a happy camper. She's a hardcore camper.
I gotta say,
I love when
another
she
one
sings the
I
song.
would love to see, like if I had to make a sequel, I would do a prequel because I think Aunt Martha's really interesting. And I think you could
Oh
have
yeah, I'd love to
Felissa
see
Rose
more of that.
play Aunt Martha, which she said that's her dream role. But you could
Oh
do a
yeah, that'd be great.
prequel of when they were still Peter sent to go live with her. Because I imagine that she was very like serial mom. I bet she was killing people in the PTA. I bet she was killing people in the neighborhood watch party. I bet she was killing people all over the place because she is unhinged. So you could
Yeah,
have a prequel where Aunt Martha's the killer and Angela is growing up and witnessing this. and
Hmm.
you see why they get to be so quiet, how they're kind of afraid of this person, and also how her cousin. I don't think they probably saw as much as Angela did because Angela just looks so traumatized when we get to sleepaway
Yeah,
camp.
that could be really interesting.
But then her personality in parts 2 and 3 is a lot like Aunt Martha, and that
Yeah,
expectations of people to be perfect. You know,
it's a great point. Great point.
that we need to make this movie.
Oh yeah, make it happen.
That would be a great. I'd rather see that than a remake.
I think she'd do great in that role, actually, Felissa.
She is fantastic, and I think she does really well. Even though she played such a shy character, she's very extroverted in real life, and I think she would love a role where she could really chew the scenery, and I think she'd be so
Yeah,
good.
that'd be perfect for her.
Yeah, and they could get CKY to do the soundtrack. Have you ever heard that story?
No.
So CKY, they used to make a lot of skate videos, but they're also like a punk band. And they used Angela, a picture of Angela from the end of Sleepaway Camp on the cover of one of their albums. And CKY stands for Camp Kill Yourself.
Oh,
Basically, this guy who's the lead singer of this band is obsessed with Felissa Rose. He is her number one fan. And
seriously?
she meets him and she agrees to go on a date with him. And now they're married and they have a bunch of kids,
Hmm.
which is crazy. So I've also always said that they also need to get CKY to do the soundtrack.
Did you know that she produced Slayer's videos on their
She
last
did?
album? Yeah,
That's great. She's so cool. She's the
yeah.
best.
She's the nicest person I've ever met, like the nicest celebrity I've ever met.
She really is, so much so that when I've met her a few times, and when I was at HorrorCon, I went to meet Don Mancini, who made Chucky, and he's like, "Have you met Felissa Rose? She's so nice." He's like, "She just exudes light. Like if other
Yeah,
celebrities are commenting on how nice she is, like she's incredible, and I think she
yeah,
makes everybody feel like welcomed. And sometimes I've met celebrities where you feel like they're just doing their job, they're just trying to get some money, just paying the bills, and she genuinely seems to just want to be there. The first time I met
yeah.
her, I had her sign my curling iron, because the kill sleepaway camp, and she thought that was so funny that she was like, "Oh, I'll happily do this for free." Like she is so fun.
Yeah, absolutely.
She's really great. Any other movies before we wrap up?
No, I think that's about it.
Dude, we covered so much. We went all around the world, all
Quite a
over
bit.
the 80s.
Yeah,
I learned about some new movies. I'm going to check out Nightmares and the original House on Sorority Row. So
yeah,
I'll have to
definitely.
message you and let you know what I think. But yeah, and you should check out Corpse Mania because I think you'd like it.
I will.
Let us know what is going on your channel, what people can get excited about, and you also have your group with Monty and Jen and all them. What you guys are doing over there?
Yeah, which you were on recently, which
I
was
would love to
great.
come back. That was a good time.
Yeah, definitely would like to have you come back. But yeah, we do the horror hangout live stream every month. I also do a live stream every month called the Morbid Hour with Lord Hellhound and Phantom Video, which we talk about horror and heavy metal. So we
Oh, that's
kind of split
awesome.
it up, because we're all huge metal fans too. So that's a great show. I really enjoy
Check
that.
that out. That's really cool.
Yeah. I have a lot of stuff I want to do, but we'll see how it goes. I don't plan things in advance that much. I kind of go on the fly. It's just like whenever I have some extra
But
time.
I think that's what makes your
Yeah.
channel really fun is it's very eclectic. So like I saw the other day, I was like, he did a video on John Cena. I love John Cena. You know what's really strange? I feel like a lot of horror fans, we also love metal and we also love wrestling. I don't know why. The
I
metal thing
know.
makes
Isn't that
sense
weird?
because so many horror movies have metal music in them, but I don't know where wrestling comes into it. But
I
yeah, a
don't
lot of
know.
us also love wrestling. My husband's a professional wrestler.
I know. I've seen that. Very
So
cool.
I also found that a lot of them also like roller derby, and I played roller derby for a long time, so they all kind of tie together. But
I think
yeah,
for me, it was probably comic books because I grew up reading comic books, and that's kind of how I see wrestling. Like the bad guy versus the superhero. You know, it's like a comic come to life in a way.
I mean, that would be a fun stream in itself, like you and Danny like coming on talking about horror and wrestling, because there are direct references. Like Jason has been there, Chucky has been there, but there's also a lot of horror characters like Mick Foley, with
Yeah.
Mankind and stuff. So that might be something for another day that we'll have to talk about. Plus, wrestling movies like WrestleManiac and stuff too, right? Oh my gosh, there's
Yeah.
so many. But yeah, Sean, he covers so much stuff on there, and just the passion you have and the knowledge, definitely worth checking out. If you guys are not already subscribed, you need to do that. You need to check out the Horror Hangout, and if you're already fans of the Horror Hangout, I got a special treat for you. I'm not gonna have a stream on Wednesday because it's Christmas Eve, but next Sunday, this same time, next week, I've got Jen's reviews from the grave. Your
Yes.
partner, one of your partners from the Horror Hangout, she's going to be here, and we're going to be talking about the most disturbing movies of all time.
Ooh.
It's going to be a really good time. So, guys, please come back next Sunday, 6 p.m. Pacific Standard Time, and hang out with us. It's going to be a really good time. And, huh?
Can't wait to see that.
Yeah, I hope you'll join us, because I'm sure you've got some deep cuts you can share with us in the chat. So, and Jen's she's a lot of fun, guys. She's so energetic, and she's so funny, and just so passionate about horror. So you guys definitely check it out. And until we meet again, blessed be.